We shall see. Well, it appears to be working. So I don't know what all that connection stuff was. Let's see. Ken is slowly coming in. I don't know. I don't know if my router is dying or we just have too many things on the router. Why buy new? Why buy new? That sounds like your name is a question. All right. Yeah, so we're at 8:20. 8:20 and some change. I hate to open up another window because of the way everything is running here all of a sudden. But looks like this is working. Let's see if this is working. Okay, computer screen's in front of me. All right, IC2 valid. I'm always curious where the names come from. Anyone have Star Wars name? Let's see. Oh, I hear you, Ken.
You can hear me or you can't?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah, my camera all of a sudden is weird tonight, and I can't figure out why.
You were just a gray block.
Yeah, that's really weird.
It's just you don't really exist then, Ken.
Yeah, I'm one with the Force, I guess.
Crossed over, yes.
That's so strange.
Yeah, it could be maybe there's something with Restream. I don't know. It was acting like I've been trying to get it to connect here, and I was thinking it was my computer.
It's not even letting me pick like a virtual background or anything.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just mad that we didn't talk on May the 4th.
I guess so.
This is being very, very angry with us. I can see something. It looks like something is. Do you have one of those like computers that shut your lens?
Well, I have a little slide that covers it, but it's uncovered right now.
Like it looks like I'm looking through cataracts or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can clean it or something.
But it looks like it's almost like it's like black on one side. Yeah, so.
Gotcha.
I don't know. The TikTok people are just hearing me talk, but we're having connection problems, which that's like a normal thing. Usually it's all my fault. So.
Gotcha. I'll be right back. I can see if I get some like lens cleaner or something.
Yes, Ben saying we were late, and yeah, we all decided on 8:30, and so we got started late. I know for me, like this time, it's like between work and everything I got to do at home, probably not the best time to do a podcast, but we didn't want to let anyone down that was expecting us to talk. So, but yeah, I'm just trying to get everything working. Those that are on TikTok, jump over to YouTube, and the link's in my bio, I believe, my YouTube channel. It's also on Facebook, but the problem with Facebook, the chats don't come through, and I don't know why. They come through from Restream if you're on there, and they come through from I forget the other one, but they don't come for some reason. They don't come through for Facebook. YouTube does. So, yeah. So Ken is getting whatever camera issues he has. It might be a short one this week too. May is just a busy month. It's weird. But let's see if I can put the chats. I don't know. So those jumping in here on TikTok, we're attempting to get our YouTube podcast rolling for tonight. It's just it is not. I think the force is mad at us because we didn't do it last week. That's my complete thoughts. But we're all running. Ken, I still got the green light. Go to the light, Ken.
I really think my camera might be busted.
Oh man.
Which is so weird.
Now you have to go buy one of those
external ones or something.
That we all threw out when all the computers started coming with cameras.
Yeah.
So because I had like tons of those laying around, and then every computer came with a camera. Unless you restart or shake it, that's what I think. Blowing it.
I'm gonna see what happens. I'll be right back.
All right. All right, lost Ken. I lost my. All right. Hi, crazy bread 6. Yeah, bread. At first I thought it was beard, and then I realized it was not. Let's see. Let's see if I can pull this up. Maybe not. It's just hang on. Yeah, I think we only have Comcast around here, but I think I pay for the better of the services, so I should be getting the thing. I just I don't know what's happening today. It could be that everyone's home and everyone's streaming stuff and playing video games and everything on my service. We could just be maxing out everything. But the computer that I stream on is plugged in, so it's not using the Wi-Fi. It's plugged straight into the router. Mainly because I was worried about all that stuff that would happen. You see if the live is coming up. Ah, there it is. The live is coming up. Share a link. See if it works in Facebook. Still got a bunch of oldies in Facebook. Instagram, I don't have as many followers, and TikTok. Twitter, I just don't get. Twitter people are just too grouchy, to be honest with you. So, okay. So that, hopefully that worked. All right. Windstream internet service. Yeah, I don't know if we're very limited in what we can get here for online service. And down where I work, they're even more limited just because of the way the geography is. Just trying to see if my link is working. Yeah, my internet's acting really weird today. Oh, there it goes. It seems to be working. Yeah, so if you jump over to YouTube, that's where we're at. But yeah, so thanks for the likes on people on TikTok. But jump over to YouTube. You can see the whole conversation. If I get Ken and John back, Ken was restarting his computer and all of that good stuff. So thank you to those guys that are joining. We're moving over to YouTube. Links in my bio for my YouTube channel. But I'm just trying to find. See if I have. There we go. Let's see. Don't add me. Don't add me. Don't add me. Let's see. Explore the show. Panels. View all panels. There we go. Let's, all right, there we go. So I was looking at just the podcast stage. All right. You fixed it, Ken?
Yeah, and literally and figuratively, all I did was reset it.
Yeah, yes. It's the joy of computers.
Like I didn't unhook anything. I didn't fiddle with any. Just restarted, and here I am.
Well, it could be so. Like, I know with some of the equipment we use at work, people, if they don't restart stuff enough, like it doesn't do those little updates, or in the old Macs, it was called kernel panic or something like that, just from running
Okay.
too long. I don't know. So yeah, I was looking at the podcast stage while I was song and dancing until you and John got here for
Nice.
that celebration. So we have Cantina Cast, which I met those guys at Chicago, a bunch of nice guys. Friends of the Force, I don't think I've ever met them. Star Wars Explained, I've seen a few of theirs, and I've heard those guys on different podcasts. Nerdy Wordy Book Club, I've not heard of. Was it good? I've not heard of. I put all these on my podcatcher to try to listen to them before we get there. Talking Bay 94, I haven't. The 501st Cast, I've heard.
If you get a chance to say hi to the guys from either Full of Sith or Blast Points, please do. They're fantastic.
Yeah, Full of Sith. I know all those because I know Brian Young. Does he still do Full of Sith?
Yep.
And Holly Fry.
Yep. And Mike Pilot, the producer.
Yeah, and Mike honestly lives like 35, 40 minutes from me, tops.
Oh, wow.
Like he lives where Marty. He lives right near Marty. He's 10 minutes from Marty.
Oh, that is pretty close for you.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a good guy. He just got out of podcasting, which I miss him. I miss him on the show. I like Brian and Holly, but I miss him. And they were the first podcast that asked Zoe to be a guest host, which was neat.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It was free comic book day one year, and I got this weird phone call from them that I didn't recognize, and they were like, "Hey, can Zoe guest host?" That was 6 years ago, maybe. So yeah, the girls are Zoe's podcast is the 29th at 12:30 to 1:30. So I have to get all that equipment ready and figure out how we can fly out.
Do you guys have a topic in mind?
Well, so
Or do the girls have a topic in mind?
I applied for this thing 3 times because they kept changing the application date, and then I would I would email them and say, hey, I applied the first time. They're like, well, it might be a good idea to reapply. And so it kept changing. So the last one here, it came. Let me see. Let me see what I gotta look what they wrote in the panel guide. This is what we settled on. Star Wars Geek Girls started with two 13-year-old Star Wars fans who met on a podcast. For 7 years, Zoe and Lizzie have shared their lives and love of Star Wars with their listeners, growing up in a Star Wars family to cosplay. From growing up in a Star Wars family to cosplay to being on our Star Wars stories, they have gone from middle school to college, sharing their fandom. They not only let others know what it's like to be a lifelong female fan, but spread Star Wars positivity as well. So it kind of covers everything. So Zoe is working on the agenda and stuff like that right now.
I'm so glad to hear that a desire to spread positivity is such a popular topic now, because
Yeah.
it seems like many podcasts are referencing that and bringing attention to that.
Yes.
And I think they're trying really hard or doing things deliberately, really consciously to offset that loudness, that volume that is connected with annoyance, frustration, disrespect, unkindness that's out there related to some of this stuff.
Yes. No, I agree 100%. Well, and I said this before. I almost wish that the toxic fans wouldn't be called fans anymore. Like they would just be called mean people. Hey, we got matching shirts. I just realized. Five below, man, all the way. And anything that's not black. I love my Star Wars shirts, but can we just have a year that they don't make any Star Wars shirts in black?
I agree.
I
have another yellow one that's Babu Frick.
Oh, nice.
And a purple one that's Jar Jar Binks.
I have this one in white, and then I just go to Five Below and I just look for the Star Wars shirts. I don't feel bad if I wreck them with resin someday.
Or they shrink in the dryer. This one's it when I first got it, it was wonderful. Now it's a little bit snugger than I would like to say.
Well, mine shrink, but I think mine's shrinking from me getting larger. So my COVID.
COVID-19.
COVID was not friendly to my waistline. So, which on paper I should have been able to just take care of myself, but you know how that works. I'm going to say bye to my TikTok people. So John's coming. Anyway, anyone that's on TikTok, go over to my, I'll just leave this on. Anyone on TikTok, just go over to my Facebook or YouTube. Yeah, so what did you do for May the 4th? Because I saw you did some fun stuff for May the 4th and Free Comic Book Day.
So for the 4th, I had to work, and I asked my boss the week before if she was okay with me showing up dressed as a Jedi. And so I brought 7 helmets, 7 lightsabers, a Sith Wayfinder, and a Jedi Holocron to work, set them up in the front of the room, and dressed like a Jedi. I'll send over a picture to you of me in my Jedi robes. And I took several pictures throughout the day. A couple of them with some of the team members, and one of the pictures actually got posted on our company's Facebook page.
Nice.
So, and how about you? What kind of fun stuff did you do? Because you do the stuff with the morning news, right?
Yeah. So I took my armor in. Mainly, I just took the top half of my armor in, and the 2 kids and newscasters, they put the armor on, and I think I gotta see if I can post this. I can't post any pictures that shows the kids' faces, and the problem was there was a girl standing between them, so I couldn't do that. So,
Gotcha.
But where did you send that to my email or my?
I sent it through our little Facebook group. You, me, and John.
Oh, okay, good. Then I can pull that up. Yeah, I did that, and then Safi and I went to the town of Elizabethtown. They're not really. They did all downtown was set up for Star Wars. It wasn't through a costuming group or anything. It was just set up through I don't know. I don't know if it was a business. I don't know who set it up, honestly. But they were asking for stormtroopers. So since my sand trooper is not technically approved for any of the costuming groups, I just wore my sand trooper, and Safi took Fennec.
Okay.
She would have done 000, but since I had to come all the way from Maryland and go there. By the time we had it suited up, it was only she would only been in costume for like 15 minutes. So we were just like, nah, let's there we go. I'm trying to pull the picture up. My connection was really weird today. Well, that's pixelated. It's coming through pixelated because I'm using the let's see. Come on. There we go. I think there we go. I got it, Ken. I got it. There you are. Jedi right there. So
and then I'll send one more your way.
That's a good Jedi costume.
Actually, that's surprisingly enough, that's from Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, John said I'll be here in 5, so I saw that.
And so what's funny, so this particular class that we're teaching, it's only an hour long. All of our New Jersey employees are required to take it. And so whenever, yep, there it is.
There it is. I can see your helmets. Let me see. Oh man, you got the now. Are all of these Black Series helmets?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Because all of my other, I didn't want to bring my custom Mando because I was concerned that someone would fiddle with it when I wasn't looking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I was supposed to wear it to a Yankees game, but the Yankees game got rained out.
Oh, okay.
But so this class is an hour long, and what I say at the beginning of class, does anybody know what the significance of today is? And it doesn't matter what the day is, because I insert the joke that today is my such and such day. So on May the 4th, I think it was my 598th day with Jefferson.
Oh, okay.
And then some, one or two people would say, "Well, it's May the 4th." I said, "Oh, really?" So I pretended to act like I didn't know, and this is just what I wear on a Wednesday. So yeah, so it was really fun. And then on Free Comic Book Day, I also had to teach, and I came home afterwards, and Heather and I went to a local mall, and one of the hosts from the Forces Behind Star Wars, he's an artist as well. He was at that local mall on Free Comic Book Day selling his prints.
Oh, okay.
So I picked up a couple of his prints. Dexter Weeks is the artist that's on our show.
I didn't know you had another one I thought they were all from California.
No, so it's 3 of them are from New York, New Jersey.
Right.
2 of them, Anthony and Dexter, live in New Jersey, and then Demetrius and Steven live in California.
Okay. Yeah. No, that I saw that. That was really cool. Anthony's coming to my house this weekend.
Oh, I think he had mentioned that.
Yeah. We got
his wife. His wife is going to do the shopping stuff up in Lancaster. And he's going to spend the day with you. Yeah,
I know. That's what I got to figure out what his plans are. So I hope he's not expecting much from me. I don't know. I don't know what is it. I hope I live up to his expectations.
Yeah, he only mentioned it to me, and he mentioned to us in passing, because we got together and did a little planning session for our podcast.
Yeah.
And he mentioned that he was going to be hanging out with you over the weekend.
Yeah. So he was looking for some Star Wars stuff or something for his son to take to celebration. So I have a Phase 1 clone helmet that I was going to show him.
Okay.
He wanted to take something and then give it back to me. I was just going to say, look, here, just for your son, take this, and you know what I mean, like let him get it, whatever he wants to do with it, and have fun with it or something.
That's cool.
I don't know. It's always weird when people come shopping to Lancaster. That's That just growing up here, you're like, what? You driving because all the people here drive to Delaware to go shopping.
Are you doing anything special on Saturday? You know what the significance of Saturday is, right?
That is Lucas's birthday.
Yes, sir.
So we might go to there's a restaurant in downtown Lancaster was built in the old armory, in the
Okay.
gymnasium of the old armory, and they converted it has retro video games.
Oh,
So it's
cool.
almost like a Chuck E. Cheese for older people, So it has like Space Invaders and Asteroids and all the way up to like Gauntlet and all those games. And then it's like a full service restaurant. And then the one half they built into a bowling alley. So if you want to bowl, you can bowl as well.
Oh, that sounds a lot of fun.
That's kind of up Anthony's alley, with his video game love.
That's cool. Heather and I are going to New York City for the day.
Oh, nice.
You just went to New York City, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yeah, we were in Soho.
Okay.
I was Vader for the evening, and Safi was TK.
In New York City?
Yeah.
It
was just some people that knew Marty asked us to come, like, be in costume. So.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of got me back on my Vader kick. I haven't wanted to build a Vader, and then after wearing Vader, I was like, oh man, you know what? I think I want to build my Vader now.
Nice.
Because I have boots with 4-inch lifts in them, so it puts me up. It puts me up 5-6 inches now with the boots.
Oh, that's cool.
So now I got to get better. I got to fix my lifts because the one lift, I don't know if I was talking to you since I did that. The one lift slid under, and all the weight was on the soft part of my foot.
Ow.
For the 2 hours I was in Vader.
Oh, that could not be fun.
Oh,
yeah, we're actually going up. There's this exhibit that's in New York City now. I don't remember the name of it. It's a Star Wars exhibit, and Heather got us tickets because my birthday was just recently, and so we're going up there to celebrate Lucas's birthday as a gift for my birthday.
Oh, nice. Well, there's that little like movie and radio museum somewhere in New York that has like a Chewbacca mask and stuff in it.
Oh, really?
A little nondescript. Zoe went up there with Missy one time, and it has some Star Wars stuff. It's like TV and motion picture museum or something.
Oh, okay.
It looks like a house, and then it's a little museum, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
But yeah, this free comic book day, I didn't really do anything. It's one of the first free comic book days that I didn't do anything, just because Zoe was moving home, and so I just didn't want to commit to doing an event and then have to rush out early. So
gotcha. You know how they have those dog collars that when the dog barks, it shocks them? Those little shock collars?
Yes.
See, I need to start wearing one of those. And every time I go to buy something Star Wars related, it just shocks me because I've been telling Heather for about a year, okay, I don't want to buy anything else because I know we're doing X. And on free comic book day, I bought like 6 or 8 comics.
Oh yeah.
Plus artwork. I've purchased a whole bunch of action figures recently. And I keep telling myself, why am I like, stop buying stuff? You're going to do this thing and you want to have, money to do it. And then I keep buying more stuff. I need that little collar, that zap.
I am the same way. Like, I'm like, no more. And then I walk by something and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So, because we went up to Jordan's shop and I went up buying a Batman grappling hook, which had nothing to do with Star Wars. It was just so cool looking. It was like a 1-to-1 replica of Michael Keaton's first Batman, the grappling hook gun. I was like, and I was like, well, I didn't buy anything Star Wars, but like pops and like, I gotta get rid of these pops because they're just invading my home.
Yeah, you shouldn't put them close together. I swear to goodness, if you put 2 of them together, they multiply like gremlins.
Yeah.
Ben says the marketing gods worked magic on free comic book day.
Well, and I know like free comic book day in Lancaster, that's my favorite one to troop. It's right near the train station. I've been going to that even when I have my own comic book store. I still went in his shop every once in a while, and I was going there like in '85. It's an old shop, and he donates all his proceeds from that day to Lancaster County Library for literacy for children.
Oh, that's really cool.
So I always like doing his, like he has a line out the door and stuff. But the 501st, they didn't do his. Our Garrison. They dropped the ball on a bunch of our. I think COVID. It wasn't their fault. I just think COVID kind of reset a lot of things, and then I think a lot of like our. I don't want to say like our faithful customers kind of got lost in the shuffle, because we didn't do one with COVID, and then all of a sudden these people start asking us to do it. I don't know how it is for the Mando Mercs, but you get so many requests on Free Comic Book Day, and you only
And
have
May 4th.
and when they're close together, because one year Safi and I went to one. We did the Lancaster one in the morning, and then there was this little one up in York, Pennsylvania, little tiny one, and they couldn't get anyone to go. So we're like, look, when we're done here, we'll just cruise up, and they were so just thankful, and and the local comic book shops they're like one of the few like mom and pop businesses left, that someone hasn't figured out how to make a really big chain of them yet, So
I was gonna go to Comic Book Day in my kit, but by the time I got home from work, I taught some classes in the morning, and then came home. It's like an hour drive one way, and it was starting to rain. I'm like, I don't want to. Yeah. I'll just go over, say hi to Dexter, and there was plenty of other people in costume. There's plenty of other people, having fun. They didn't need to see, Kenny G in his Mando costume.
Yeah, well, they always like John.
Hey, Johnny.
There, that's a better.
Howdy.
That's a better.
Good to see you.
Howdy. Yeah, we were talking about Free Comic Book Day and May the 4th, catching up, what we all did.
Yeah, I was listening in there for a minute.
What'd you do? Did you do anything on Free Comic Book? Did they have Free Comic Book Day out in Ohio?
We do, but I did not do anything, sadly. Free Comic Book Day was Saturday, yes?
Yes. Yeah. It's always the first Saturday of May.
Yeah, so this whole week, which is usually supposed to be, a celebratory time for us Star Wars fans, was rough for me and my family.
Oh, man.
Because my grandfather passed away on May 4th.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
No.
Man.
I didn't really know him,
Well,
so
it's
not exactly heartbroken. But I was actually more heartbroken because I spent all day of Revenge of the 5th in the hospital with my dad. So I've been taking care of him all.
Is he okay?
Yeah, he's doing better now. He had a rock come up and catch him across the eye off the mower deck.
Oof.
So, yeah, it was no bueno.
Doesn't sound like a fun week.
But hey, we're doing better now, so it's a new week.
Yeah. Now, when that happens to your dad, I think of every time I'm working on something and I have my safety goggles sitting there and I never put them on.
Oh, you mean so you're doing your thing and the goggles are over there?
Yep, they're just hanging there,
Yeah. I know where they are. Do you have any Five Belows near you, John?
I do. I didn't catch the memo that it was Five Below shirt day.
Come on, man. It's Five Below Boba Fett day.
Though it's funny, the one near me, depending on what size you buy, it's a different shade yellow.
Yeah.
So, like, I have extra large, so you can tell the big one's like
it's a big boy shirt.
Yeah, and then the other one's like a bright yellow, and then so.
Well, like the one year at Celebration, it seemed like many people had that red Millennium Falcon T-shirt.
Yeah, I think was that a Five Below or a Target?
I don't remember which, because I grab T-shirts wherever I can find them. I think I have 88 or 77 of them at this point.
Now, have you ever seen the one where Chewbacca's holding like a foam finger in the background?
Yes.
That's Marty.
What?
That's Marty. Because if you look at a lot of their shirts, especially the ones that have like a trooper surfing or something like that, they're not Lucasfilm pictures. Like the one, there's two troopers on it. I forget which one it is. They are FX kits. They're not even, you know what I mean? Like, I think they've taken photos because Marty's like, that is my mask. And you can tell it's one of Marty's earlier masks.
That's really funny. Does he get a royalty for every shirt that they sell?
Yeah, they'll probably do that when we start paying them royalties for using our stuff.
Oh yes. Don't tell anyone. Just never mind. I didn't say that out loud. Kathleen Kennedy, just forget I said that.
But yeah, no, I mean we it was weird because it was supposed to be it just was a busy week for me. Like May 4th came at the worst possible week, and this week is not. I just got to get through this week. Like I'm trying to get everything ready for like when Anthony comes over. I don't want to say, hey, welcome to my room full of boxes. So I finally got everything moved back in to my old storeroom, and my printer's IG11. I'm starting his shoulder tonight, which is a 2-day print for the right, 2-day print for the left, and the chest. Then I just have to do his arms and his head.
Gotcha.
All right.
So I don't know if it'll be done by celebration, but we'll see.
Well, speaking of shoulders, can you send those shoulder
yeah, I can
armor back with Anthony?
Yeah, I'll make sure you send me a text, or I will forget.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I'll send them over. Yeah, I got
because I still can't figure out if I want to have two of the same shoulder. That's why I want to get two of each set. Or if I want to have a mix and match. I still can't figure it out. I need to see them on me before
You have that big spear, right?
That's for my custom kit.
Okay.
Yeah, for my second kit, my post Imperial kit is also going to be custom, and that guy's going to be vastly different than my my legacy kit.
Oh, okay.
So that guy's going to have 2 blasters on my hip, a blaster in my lower back, a hunter knife on my gauntlet, rocket launcher, a modified gun like Baze Malbus has.
Oh, okay.
And what else? There was darts on my other gauntlet. So that guy's gonna be fully weaponized.
Nice. I saw John's new gauntlets. They look good.
Yeah, they look much better.
It's amazing how different they look compared to the ones that you had before.
Yeah, they're the proper size is the big thing.
But I think as costume people, we're too hard on ourselves, because when you put everything together to the average person, it still looks really good.
Yeah.
Like until you pointed any of your flaws out, I had no. I didn't like. Well, we gotta let John take pictures with us, but his suit doesn't. I never.
Every time I put mine on, when I'm backstage, I look at it and go, how can I stand next to these folks? Because this does not look that great. And then as soon as I come out on the floor and the first kid yells, hey, Mando, I'm like, okay, it's on.
Yeah.
Look, they don't care. They really don't care about the quality of my costume. They just know that it's cool looking.
Well, and as a whole, the flaws kind of disappear. Like I know guys with their TK, they're worried, my armor's all scratched. Once you throw that armor on, no one cares. And I see Marty fuss over his Chewie masks. I'm like, really? His worst mask looks better than 90% of the masks I've seen. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head that we're all just too hard on ourselves when it comes to the minor stuff.
Which is good. I mean, I'm looking at this really bad hand plate of mine right next to like John. If you look straight across from John, I see my hand plate peeling off my glove. Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, what's wrong with me? So, and then Marty had the cheese grater hand plates, which were on one trooper in the movie. If you look at the pictures of Marty, they're the square cheese grater ones, which you don't see. A lot of guys used to do them. You don't see those anymore. Arc 77's here. He forgot. He missed all of our technical difficulties. So
yeah. So welcome to the party, Arc. Good to see you again. And I'm glad Ben's still hanging around. So I've been doing a lot of research on Rogue One recently.
Nice.
And I thought it was very, very interesting. Speaking of TKs and everything, that for Rogue One, they actually made the what is it called? The grill on the side, the cheeks. Yeah. They actually cut those out instead of having it be a sticker like it was in the original movie.
Their helmets are very close to the Black Series. Except, you know, they don't have the Black Series doesn't have the undercut, but they did that. They did these weird little things on the sides which are different, and then they put the USB plug in the stomach. You know, so you can charge your phone while you're a stormtrooper. I guess you don't have pockets, but you can at least charge your phone. And then they put the ratchet straps in the top of the shoulder. The straps go back into the back shoulder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the eyes are symmetrical, and it drives me nuts.
Yep. Oh yeah. It's which is fine. I guess I just don't know enough about movie making. I'm just thinking if I was making a Star Wars movie, they would say, okay, look, we're going to spend all this time and money to redesign this, or you can use what they've been using for 30 years. You know, like was like the guy's brother like an artist or something?
Well, what they were saying is they wanted to make sure that specifically Rogue One held up to an HD world.
Yeah, I guess.
So if you were to look at A New Hope in HD, you could tell that was a sticker on the side. Whereas with the helmets for Rogue One, they wanted you to be able to see that it was actually cut out and stuff like that.
Well, and half the TKs didn't even have the stickers on them. If you look at some of them, they don't even have the lines in New Hope. You know, some are missing. The one guy's duct tape holding his pauldron on, or his shoulder fell on. So, yeah, no, I understand that. I just you know, I just see what they did. Like I like the when they used the 501st in the Mandalorian.
Yeah. See, I wish we could go back in time because John Knoll's story to me is so amazing. So he went out to California with his dad when he was 15, and they were in the process of making The Empire Strikes Back, and found a phone book in the hotel, called ILM, told whoever answered that he was a model maker and everything, and they invited him down the next day, and he spent the whole day at ILM watching them make stuff. I got goosebumps. I would love to just go out to California, call up and say, "Oh, I'm in the neighborhood. Can I hang out at Skywalker Ranch for the day?" Yeah. I'll just sit in the corner while Ben Burt makes noises.
Well, back in the beginning of the 501st, right when I joined, I didn't know that many people. But Marty and a couple other guys went to Skywalker Ranch and got to walk through, you know, like and look at all the stuff. You know, it's just a different time. Like you know, I wished I would have. I was in. I just didn't know that. I didn't know the power of just asking back then. You know, like, hey, yeah, I'll go along. So, you know.
What if the three of us made a movie of like our quest to get into Skywalker Ranch?
That
like a documentary exists. Of the three of like kind of like Fanboys, the movie, except a real life. The three of us are going to do everything that we can to get into Skywalker Ranch, and then what we end up finding out is we just get invited to bounce in the inflatable Falcon.
Right.
That's our prize.
Maybe it should be our quest to be the inflatable Falcon, and it shows how we brush aside important phone calls and miss out on Skywalker Ranch. Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna see if I'm hoping. I doubt it, but I'm hoping that company will. Yeah, show's getting arrested. That's funny. I'm hoping that company will be at Celebration. I got my tickets Monday. My tickets finally got here Monday, so I'm not. I was worried there for a while because like all these people were posting up that they got their tickets. I was like, "Where's my tickets?" So,
well, they could set up the inflatable Falcon there. I mean, that would be a perfect place for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's less than 2 weeks away. It's 2 weeks away. We're leaving 2 weeks from today to go to California. So.
Which means that Kenobi is only 2 weeks and 2 days away.
Yes. And hopefully I'll be able to get into whatever panel, because you know they're going to have a late night show or something of that.
Oh yeah, and you could probably imagine that Ewan will be walking around the crowd. Mm-hmm. You know, Kathleen Kennedy will be walking around the crowd, especially. Well, they don't let you stay overnight in the convention center anymore, do they?
They're doing the electronic cues this year, which I mean, it's one of those catch-22s because everyone that loved standing in line also complained about standing in line until they took standing in line away. Like the same guys who said, "Oh, I loved it. I got to hang out with people and got to meet people." But then if you talk to them at the end, they're like, "Well, yeah, but I spent all my time waiting in line."
Yeah.
So I understand why they do it. I didn't mind the queues at Chicago. I thought it was nice to just put in what you want and see what you can get.
Yeah, we didn't do any of that. The only standing in line we did was we purchased 2 photo opportunities. We got pictures with Paul Bettany, and I dressed like a Jedi, and I brought a little jewel that I stuck on my forehead like Vision.
Nice.
And then we also...
And then you fell dead. You fell over dead.
Yeah.
You ripped it from your...
Scarlet Witch ripped it out of my head. And then we got pictures with Ahmed Best. Those are the only times that we stood in line, really, for anything.
Oh, that's. I mean, we had Sal give us tickets to the Rebels, whatever panel.
Oh, cool.
Got in with the press, but we had to be there like super early in the morning and we had these green wristbands, and so we had a green wristband that stood in this one line.
Gotcha. I will admit that the two years that I stayed overnight in the convention center, they were pretty fun times.
Yeah. Well, no, I think a lot of people enjoyed that, but I think then there was a majority, or maybe a vocal minority that complained about it enough for them to consider, because that's part of the cons. That's how cons have become. Like if you go to New York City Comic Con and you want to get a certain autograph, you're basically going to spend most of your day standing in line to get that person's autograph.
Yeah.
And I think some people that's not what cons meant for them, didn't understand, hey, I just spent all this money to get in, to stand in line, to spend more money to get an autograph. And I think that's probably one of the things that Celebration was trying to avoid.
Yeah.
But if you want,
for me, that first panel didn't matter so much because it was the first panel of the day.
Yeah.
So staying overnight just meant I got a spot in the big room.
Yeah.
Which was especially the second year that we went in 2017, because that was the year George Lucas was there, Harrison Ford was there, John Williams was there, Billy Lord was there. That to me was probably the peak of conventions, to be in the second row to see all of those folks. That was really, really cool. And I was there with Derek. He that was the one year he decided he wanted to see if he could stay overnight as well.
Yeah.
Slept on the floor on a yoga mat.
Well, that's what the best Celebration stories I listened to is Marty with Celebration 1 in
the mud.
Yeah, in the mud. But I mean, like I think when I remember when Celebration 1 took place, and it never crossed my mind, hey, maybe I should try to do that. It just was like one of those things. I wasn't in that mindset of, hey, it's worth the money, because until you go, it's not worth the money.
Yeah. And as much fun as we had for Chicago, and I'm going to sound really spoiled here, I apologize ahead of time, we only went for one day, and for me, it just wasn't enough. Yeah. I couldn't see everything. I couldn't do everything. It was absolutely wonderful, and I'm so glad that Heather and I made that decision to do it. And I, like a drug addict, I wanted more.
Yeah, and I think Chicago I liked Chicago the way it was laid out, but you almost needed to go through and look at everything and then kind of step back off to the side, like behind the TIE fighter or back there where you could kind of just soak it in for a minute,
Yeah. Well, I thought it was neat. They had restaurant or like a food court and seating area up above.
Yeah.
And so we got this set of chairs that could oversee the floor, and that was probably the coolest vantage point we've ever had of a celebration, just to be able to see the sea of stuff and the sea of people. It was really fun. I could have just set a camera up there and recorded an hour or two of it, and had a good old time.
Well, and Hip Hop Trooper at 2 a.m. at the hotel was pretty good too.
Of course.
They had to break every occupancy rule of that hotel because it was it was packed full, and Hip Hop Trooper and all his people, they brought like a screen and were dancing in front of it with his Jawas and his slave play and all that. And then the bash got let out. The 501st bash got let out. So you already had it full, and then all of a sudden these people in Star Wars inspired ball gowns comes rolling out too.
Yeah, I think Nick went to that. Nick and Victoria, I think they both went to that and got all dressed up fancy like.
Yeah. I didn't get my bash tickets this year. It just slipped my mind, and then I just was like, yeah, I got too many other things to do. We'll get John at one of these days. John, it's like Steel City. I will say, is a super close second to Celebration for me.
Do you guys think you'll go in August to Steel City?
It all depends. The problem is I don't know what we hopefully will. It mainly depends on move in for college for Zoe and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Because John Carpenter will be at Steel City in August, and I'm working to convince Heather to go just for that. I mean, she enjoys Star Wars, or she puts up with Star Wars and me, but she would get a kick out of, I think, seeing John Carpenter.
Wait a minute, which Weird Al concert did you go to? The newest one? I got to count, but I'm pretty sure I've been on stage with him 11 or 12 times with Weird Al when he did all the concerts.
Humble brag. You see that, John? You see what he did there?
Yeah.
That's my only in life. That is the happiest I was when his roadie or whatever.
Oh no!
And said to them, he knows what we're doing, and I was like, I got recognized by Weird Al's roadie dude or whatever. Stage manager.
See, I would guess that your proudest Star Wars moment is my Star Wars story. I think
that's true.
I mean, I'm not saying that the Weird Al thing wasn't cool, but I don't know if it's as cool as the Star Wars story.
I don't know. This, it's all becoming something I wish I would have known was going to happen when I was at 12, getting made fun of for liking Star Wars. So.
Well, I wish I had been brave enough in high school, college, and even grad school to allow my my nerdery to be displayed. Because who knows what could have happened then? I mean, I did. I was too cool for school. I didn't want folks to know.
Oh, dude, I did, and it wasn't that much fun. I mean, it was fun to love it, but man, I get a mild grouchy jealousness when I see people playing D&D and like or liking Star Wars and not being like verbally abused by 90% of everybody. I played D&D in like 79 and 80 and 81 in the middle of the Satanic Panic when they were basically telling, like, I was like treated like right next to like heroin addicts of, so no, Ark, you said you went to the Weird Al. You went to his newest concert or one of the other concerts? Because I know he has his new tour going on now, but he's not using any troopers or anything. It's like just him on stage. Oh, okay, cool, yeah. Well, me and Marty have some plans for that tour coming up that we'll talk about at a later date. But because since they're not using troopers and stuff, we have plans. Hey, John, did Marty send those pictures yet of Kylo? I reminded him today.
He did not, no.
I remember because he had like worked all weekend, and I was like, I was talking to him this morning, and he was like, I was like, did you send those? He's like, oh, I gotta get that out and send those pictures. So,
yeah, I mean, it's no rush.
Yeah, well, you got to go with that new Corvette, the new ride,
the Corellian Corvette.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you gonna call it the Tantive V5?
5.5.
I think I'm gonna stick with the Skywalker Corvette. I haven't decided if I'm gonna change the plates or not, but tentatively.
You have to. What are you gonna do with those plates? Or is that just,
Yeah, it's a plate transfer.
Yeah, I just gotta keep those. You gotta keep those plates alive. Zoe's a Spectre 5 on her bug.
Yeah, we've got so many Star Wars vanity plates. I mean, just since I've been driving, we've had Skywalker, Y-wing, U-wing, and then I had Rogue One on my my Monte Carlo at one point.
The closest I have to any of that is I have the Nissan
Rogue.
helmet.
Oh, the hell.
Mm.
Okay,
The helmet that came with the car.
not the
Mhm.
car.
Or I just have the helmet. The Death Trooper.
Did you go in and pester them to give you one, or how did that happen?
Yeah, someone had one for sale. It wasn't much. I mean, and I was like, okay, and I got it. It's nice, but the problem is it's not a real helmet. It's solid inside.
Oh, so it's really just display,
Yeah.
like a big heavy paperweight.
Yeah. But I always liked the Death Trooper, and I'm way too short to do a Death Trooper. So
But you're not too short for a Stormtrooper.
nope. And
Or Vader.
And Vader. Can't really put lifts in one of those Death Troopers, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't. I think you might be able to get away with like the insole lifts, but you can only get like 1.5 inches, 2 inches out of those.
Well, no, see, the boots I got for my Vader, I bought size 11, and then the lift puts my foot up. I'm not like this. It puts it up like this, and that puts almost 4 inches inside. And then this, the 1.5 inches, 2 inches on the heel. But you can't have Franken boots to be approved as a Vader.
Yeah, I'd hope not.
But the boots are not. Once you put that armor on, the armor, like the leg armor, the boots are some guys will wear, like, they wear lace up boots. As long as the laces are covered, you can wear them. They're not too picky on the boots.
Yeah, I was heavily studying the Kylo CRL. I did not realize like the detail on his boots, just because the outer and then the middle robes cover them completely.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'd look at that one for Marty's because his is nice. He had his Kylo pretty early, but I like that Kylo. I like that style Kylo more than any of the others.
I do too.
I like that. Well, because I think that it looked like what he was wearing had more of a story. Like it was kind of ripped up, and it was kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Not that the other ones didn't. I just felt that one looked more for me.
Yeah, I like his Last Jedi look.
Mm-hmm.
It staggers. It's Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker.
But he didn't wear his helmet as much.
Wait, he destroyed it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I like when characters wear their costumes. That's why I think I like the new Batman movie. He was in Batman all the time.
Yeah, I think there's a total of like 3 minutes of screen time where he's just Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say this. If you could mix the Rise of Skywalker helmet with the Force Awakens soft goods,
the repaired one with the red.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. I love that, like, that I forget what the actual like name of the art is, but like the cracked pot Japanese style. I love the look of that.
Imaguchi, I think.
Just make up words. We'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. My only concern is if I don't know what size shoe Marty wears.
I think he wears a 9.5 or 10.
It's called Kintsugi, Kitsugi. Fancy way of calling golden joinery, where they took something damaged and filled in the cracks and repaired it with gold to make it more valuable after it was broken.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Not that I'm a nerd or anything.
I learned that. I remember learning that we had to take like a history of art as an elementary ed major, and I remember learning about that. Is Kylo considered a Sith Lord?
No, it's
I don't
weird
think
in the CRLs. Because I forget exactly where it's classed.
He'd be a Sith apprentice, wouldn't he? Unless he became a Sith Lord no, because even in Rise of Skywalker, he had Palpatine above him.
Kylo is part of the dark side adept.
Oh, there we go.
So
Gotcha.
Man, he doesn't even get any respect in the
CRLs.
CRL.
right, but it's still like, so he's a dark side adept. However, it's classified under the Sith Lord detachment, but he doesn't get the SL trooper number.
Yeah.
It's like Anakin being on the council but not being granted the title of master.
Right. Yeah. The nice part about the Force Awakens Kylo, though, is you're almost automatically approved for 2 costumes, because you've got the Force Awakens Kylo and then the Starkiller base. Just take off the head wraps.
Nice.
Dawn Bright. That was she was our CO in the 501st. That's who's in that costume.
In Karita? Garrison Karita?
No, in the actual 501st, the full.
Oh, the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah, she was the.
Are you gonna? Hey, John, are you gonna do another episode of the Beskar bucket with your pal who is just watching Star Wars for the first time?
Yeah, as soon as life just stops being so hectic, I gotta sit down and record another episode with him. But I've actually got another friend who wants to do an episode.
Nice.
But we both have to, because he's really big into D&D.
Oh, okay.
So I want to talk about the West End Games role playing game. So
have
that
you
way
played the West End Games one?
I have not.
I used to run it at my store. And if you play D&D, it's a hard one because D&D is kind of like your standard. Like once you play D&D, you kind of compare everything to that.
Right.
And but the one part I liked and disliked about that game kind of at the same time, you rolled some of your scores every time you used them. So like you might have a strength of I honestly forget how it's worded now, but like say it's 6 dice for your strength or something. Every time you go to use your strength, you roll those 6 dice. So it's there's a little more randomness to it.
Huh.
So we wound up playing it for a while, and then we went back to D&D just because the rules were,
Well, you were used to them.
Well, and also like with D&D, you kind of level up, and in this game, you can't really level up because you can't really become a player that's stronger than Darth Vader. Like but the resources for that game were the best.
Every once in a while, I'll go to the bookstore just to take pictures of some of the artwork in those books to get ideas for poses and costume and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Because the artwork in all of those books are just amazing. Even the newer ones are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Imperial source book, which I sold when I was going back to college and had a newborn, I was selling everything to pay for bills. And the Imperial source book had ranks and all the different how ships were, fleets were laid out and everything. It was beautiful. It was a good source book. But I have the player's handbook. I think I told you guys before when they moved Kevin Smith's store down the street. It was right before COVID. They moved their store, like the secret stash, like a half a block down the street. We went in the last day they were open, and they had just stuff sitting around, and they had found one of those old West End Games player books, and I bought it for $15, brand new. They found it when they were moving boxes. I'll take it.
Don't gotta move that. I'll just take it home. Move it to
a
my
whole stack of actually like they had the shuttle and all those old Star Wars figures, which they were trying to sell me, but at the time I just didn't have the cash. So, but yeah, that would be a West End Games would be it. I can't wait to hear them. But I do need you to make me a 2-minute bumper.
Yeah, I know. That was on my my to-do list last week, but
because I still think Star Wars podcasters are missing out in that regard, of promoting other shows. Because by promoting other shows, you build that network of what blogs did when the internet first started. Like, blogs didn't get big because people were writing profound stuff. Blogs got big because they were sharing ideas from other bloggers, and you built this like web of people.
Yeah.
And I think
If you like this, you'll also like that.
Right. Because if they like Ken, if they listen to Ken's podcast, they like Ken, and then Ken, they're going to figure they have the same sensibilities as you, and so they're looking at, and if you like something, or I just think podcasters are missing out on that. Because I do think sometimes podcasters are they think they're in competition with other podcasters, and that can lead to be a very stressful thing.
I am probably a couple weeks away from creating a new thing, so we'll see how that all goes.
Can you give us a tease?
Yeah, it's kind of like what we do, ramble on and on and on, except each rambling would be organized, if that makes any sense. So it'd be rambling about a topic or a aspect of Star Wars or a creator of Star Wars.
Nice. Well, you could practice on us, because organization would probably help us out.
Yeah, I'm sure we could use it.
Because I think with me, since my whole day is organized, like my day is organized, like when I want to take a leak, when I want to eat my lunch, like I have it when I go to work, it's every second, like I can't just walk out and see if it's sunny out. And so when I get to this, it's hard for me to lay that down, but I do like organization.
Sorry, I got dogs barking in the background, so I'm on and off mute here.
Yeah, I need a cough button on mine. I don't have a cough button.
Yeah, you missed Nymerio's going bonkers a little bit ago.
Yeah, that's the only thing I don't have set up in here. I got to set up a cough button.
See, I want to figure out how Colin he said he had a little keyboard that he connected to his microphone that was associated with different sound effects, so he could push a key on the keyboard and sound effects would automatically come through, whether it's blaster sounds, lightsaber lighting up, TIE fighters going by, whatever. I want to learn how to do that, because I would like to figure out how to incorporate that sort of thing.
You're gonna have the morning zoo
into our shows.
You're gonna have the morning zoo of podcasts.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yes.
Well, I know that right around COVID, there's a couple companies that made like a podcasting board, and it had some of those things, but they wind up being more pricey than what I want to spend on.
Well, I found one, but it only allows you to record, I think, or save 4 sounds. That has the capacity for 8, but 4 of them are already there. So it's like laugh track male, laugh track female, 2 other random sounds I don't even remember, and then 4 buttons that you can program. But I still haven't hooked it up and learned how to program those 4 buttons.
Yeah, see, I have the mixing board, and I have the capability of, and I have 3, 4, I have 5 Macs in this room alone. So in theory, I could do a soundboard, but I just.
Can you send one of those Macs with those shoulder bells back with Anthony when he comes over on Saturday?
No, therefore, like this Mac that I'm talking on right now cost me $50 because someone burned out the video card.
I'll give you $45. I'll give you a toga price.
So I just wind up, and then I have 2 of the old white iMacs, which one of them I think I'm going to make a standalone game just for the old Battlefront. Because it won't update. The problem with the Macs, once they get too old, they won't run the updates, and then they just start going nuts. But the white Macs I can't update anymore, so I'll probably cannibalize both to make one good one, and then I'm going to put I have the Mac version of Battlefront, the first original Battlefront from 2003 or 4 or something like that, and I'll put that and just make it a standalone play Battlefront. So Because that's what Zoe would take my work computer and just play Battlefront for hours when she was like 3 or 4.
Yeah, I saw your Facebook post about that.
Yeah. Well, no, and I think I hope people didn't take it wrong. I wasn't complaining about my job per se. I was complaining in the sense that I think too many of us have been taught that you have to give up so much to be successful, and it doesn't really like. As a teacher, I found probably about 3 years ago, I decided, look, if I can't get it done during the day, I really can't spend 4 or 5 hours a night doing it. I have to just like set limits on myself. And then I felt that I was a better even if you would list yourself as unprepared, like if I didn't get everything graded like I thought I should, I was still a better teacher to those students because my life was in balance. The days I stayed up late grading, like I would write these magnificent lesson plans and you go to start it and they have a fire drill. So you spend 4 hours for something that you rush, or a kid says the wrong thing, or and all I did was miss out on things that I wish I didn't miss out on. And no one pats on your back 10 years later and says, hey, I remember what you did. So if I'm going to do those extra things, like I do robotics for my students, that I enjoy and my students enjoy it, but I still limit myself. I still say, look, I can do it for these many hours and that's it. I can't,
Well, the other, an additional way to think about it is, and this is, I don't know, take it for what it's worth. Things happen the way they're supposed to. And so if you choose to put in those 2 hours and that's what you do, then that's what was supposed to happen. And if you choose to watch that movie or spend 4 hours with a guy from Ohio and New Jersey talking about Star Wars, then that's what's supposed to happen.
Right.
Things happen as the Force wills it, or whatever, and be
still,
okay with.
Yeah, but again, I think we've been conditioned in our society that if you put those extra hours in, it's going to enhance your life. And looking back, that didn't enhance my life. Like, I'm not talking about it probably doesn't come across. I'm talking about the mundane minutia of, okay, look, I have this PowerPoint with the exact font that my students will like, where if I would have it would have had the same, and the kid
would Times New Roman have been okay?
Right. I mean, I'm sensitive to when I don't make PowerPoints anymore. When I used to make PowerPoints as a teacher, you have to know which ones like colorblind kids can't see. So you do have to know like what colors and stuff to use. But I would have like animations and graphics and this, and it didn't enhance the lesson. It just made me tired the next day because I was up, mentally tired. I can work physically tired all the time. It's the mental part, because if you're doing it for your family, but you're not seeing your family, then it's a little,
Yeah, and I mean, kind of to your point on that, in car sales, it's expected of you to be available 24 hours a day, but I have limited myself where it's, if I'm not in the building, I'm not working. You're not paying me to be there. I'm not gonna. Because I wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things that I do if I were to devote all of my personal time to working. So, and yeah, I'll get called a bad salesperson. That's fine. I wouldn't be able to spend 4 hours a night because I'd have to be watching my phone. Hey, did a customer text me, or did X happen, or Y do? So,
well, that kind of stuff I do find interesting, because there's the judgment cast on you that you're not a good salesman, yet you're the one who has to decide whether or not you're successful enough to survive. So if you're able to survive on what you do, okay. What may be happening is somebody else may be connected to your success more than they want to say out loud.
Well, I think John's generation has a better grasp of success more than I can speak for my generation. Like my generation was, you get out of school and you work your ass off for 40 years for a company, and you get as much money as you can. You accumulate as much stuff. That's what we were taught. And if you didn't accumulate enough stuff as this guy, the only reason you don't have as much stuff as this guy is because you didn't work as hard. That's what, and that's not how life works, at least, because we used to get what was called a tireless teacher award. Every month they'd have a tireless teacher award, and I remember it was probably my second year teaching. The teacher that got it, I had that teacher's child, and the teacher's child was a maniac. And I leaned over to the one teacher I taught with, and I said, "One person's tireless teacher is another person's bad parent," because the teacher was always there working, and the teacher that wasn't a bad person, and the kid wasn't a bad person, but I mean, and it's just with any profession, it's a balancing act.
Yeah, I think that like you said, any profession can be that way.
Yep. I just think, I know with teachers, we always get they know we'll do it. I'll be walking out the door and they'll be like, "Hey, we need you to sit in on this meeting because this kid's having X, Y, and Z problem." And what person is not going to stay, and stay and help? I know, but you come with, but for me, it's a different mentality, and it's not I don't know if it's a healthy one. The pandemic taught me how to make boundaries. Because when I was teaching at home, I literally had to say, "Okay, I am done at this time." Because when it first started, I was teaching from 7 in the morning till 9 at night, answering kids' questions and stuff like that, and it was not a good thing. Missy was worried about me because I was in such a nervous panic that I wasn't doing anything. I would wake up at 5. I would build armor in the garage until 7:30, from 7 to 7, and then I couldn't sleep, and that happened for weeks. I got a lot.
Well, I think we also have to. I think from time to time we have to fall out of balance to realize where our sense of balance is. Almost like walking, this constant adjustment, this constant, looking where we're stepping or looking, where we're going to find what works and what doesn't.
And I lucked out. My girls love Star Wars, so I lucked out more than most because a lot of my hobbies we all enjoyed. They enjoy video games. I enjoy video games, Star Wars. So I've over the years, unfortunately, I've seen so many people that I've trooped with, them trying to crowbar Star Wars into their kids' lives, and you're see they've bought costume after costume for their kid, and the kids hate it, So I do feel blessed in that regard.
Well, I think what I've noticed about you with your girls is, yeah, you offer it up and you are okay with their decision to accept it or not.
Yeah.
So it's not I'm thrusting this on you, or I'm cramming this down your throat. Here's what I like, why I like it. Let me offer it to you, and they get to decide what they do with it.
Well, and also Star Wars never took me away from them. And I know a lot of people that they'll troop two days out of the week when they have kids at home and their kids aren't, and then that can easily build up a resentment towards Star Wars if daddy's away, all day Saturday.
Well, I've seen some people bring their kids to a troop and then ignore them the whole time.
Yeah.
So they're like, it's don't talk to mommy or daddy because they're in their costume and you're over there, instead of making it something together.
Well, Zoe always joked around with because when she started trooping, my rules were, if you signed up to troop, every time a troop would come up, I'd say, "Hey girls, we're doing X, Y, or Z. Do you want to do it?" I mean, they were 4 and 6 when we first started, really doing it a lot. And if they said they didn't want to do it, they didn't have to do it. But if they committed, they had to do it. It was not the morning of, if they woke up and just "Look, you promised," and but then I remember the second troop we did was Pottery Barn, and it was probably, I think Safi was 5, I think 4 or 5, and she didn't want to do it. She said no. So okay, so her and Missy went shopping in the mall, and me and Zoe did it. We trooped for 2 hours. Zoe was a Jawa. Safi, that's the last time Safi didn't troop. because she was so sad that she didn't troop that time, because we had a line for 2 hours of like crazy kids that just wanted pictures with us. This was in 07 or 08, so it was,
Okay.
we were still the 501st was still relatively not, when you showed up they're like, whoa. So yeah, someone said John's camera's off.
Yeah, he had to step away for a bit.
Yeah, he had dogs, and I think he said he was taking care of his dad too. So he's Wednesday night always seems like a good night until we start, and then everyone's like, but no, but that's what all the like the May the 4th and all this got me just thinking about family and Star Wars, and and I get a little sappy when I'm like tired. Like I was tired the other night grading stuff, and I was like looking at it, and we got the doom and gloom meeting, and it just kind of put me in a funk. Because even Marty called me or texted me this morning. He said, "I read your post. Are you okay?" So I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I just, because I normally just try to post as happy as possible, but I was just like, I was just not grumpy. I shouldn't post grumpy.
Well, at the same time, though, I mean, let's be true. I mean, we're even though we attempt to share more positive than not, we are still human, and we have those moments, we have those thoughts, and it's okay. I mean, you've got that. It's your Facebook. You decide what you put out there, and going back to the intent behind it, I think it served as a nice reminder for folks, and or at least at the very least, an opportunity for them to read it and say, how, does this fit with me? Does this make sense to me? How do I, or where do I sit on this?
Yeah, because I grew up with no family. Like I grew up with my grandparents, loved them to death, and they were as close to parents as you could have. Like my parents took me back later in life, but when you grow up in your first couple years, like kindergarten through third, fourth grade, without parents, no matter how great your grandparents are, you're still reminded that they're not your parents, either by accident or just,
Oh yeah.
I've said this before. I would get the notes from school in first grade, and they didn't say parent and guardian back in the 70s. It just said parents of, and I would always raise my hand, like, do you have one for like grandparent? You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
And so I never wanted my kids to have that ever. So I tried to make my kids as happy as I possibly can. And they like Star Wars, so I can't really complain.
And just as a secret, no matter how much you do, they get to decide how happy they are.
Yeah, that's true.
We had so Sunday, Mother's Day, my dog's birthday, my birthday. Eric came over, Heather's oldest son, and Derek, the youngest son, were here. We went out to Hibachi for dinner. And then afterwards, we spent probably 4.5 hours just talking.
Yeah.
And the two boys, oddly enough, surprisingly enough, wonderfully enough, they led the whole thing. They were talking about their favorite vacation. They asked us what our favorite place to eat was when we went on vacation, our least favorite ride on all of those places that we went to. And we talked so long that at one point Eric said, "Hold on a second, we got to turn the light on," because we started talking right after dinner at maybe 6 or so, and kept going until it was dark out, and we weren't even paying attention to the light in the room because we were just so involved in the conversation. And it was in those moments, those comments, those conversation, that showed me that no matter what we did for them, they decided what was meaningful, what was valuable, what was important. They even made a joke because when they were younger, I bought art books and Harry Potter books and filled bookcases with them in an effort to get them to read and be creative, and they wanted nothing to do with it. And they joked saying, "You got us all this stuff, and we didn't use any of it."
Oh yeah, we went through the phase of like board games. The board games you liked as a kid. You're like, oh, and you bought all those, and
yep. We have 2 totes in our storage unit of just board games.
Yeah.
Some of them we played till the creases in the board, broke apart, and then others I don't even know if we opened all of them.
Yeah, we were like, oh, we like this when we were kids, and yeah. Well, the girls, so they always liked Star Wars, but they went through the Thomas the Tank Engine phase, which was fine with me because that was one of, I don't, you've probably watched plenty of kids shows, and some of those shows are unbearable to watch. And at least Thomas was enjoyable to watch. So yeah, because I remember Zoe used to like the micro series Clone Wars, when Ventress was fighting Anakin.
Oh, the Jendi Tartarsky or whatever, those Tartarsky.
She always liked those, and she liked the Droids cartoon because I got that on DVD at Suncoast, which I wish I would have bought the Ewok Adventures on there.
Yeah, I don't think many folks realize that was the second time that Boba Fett showed up on screen animated.
Yeah.
Was in the droid cartoon.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. I heard a droid. I heard a Jawa.
Yeah. That's either Anthony or one of the other guys from the forces behind Star Wars.
Now, it's funny. Isn't it funny that, like, how many years ago, like, podcasts, like I would say in my fandom, I enjoyed costumes and stuff like that, but podcasting, sometimes it's in the top tier of my fandom. Listening and just doing podcasts in general, it's that niche of the fandom that I love.
Yeah, and one of the things I've curated a very interesting list of folks that I will listen to, and an even bigger list of people that I won't listen to. And for me, and this is just me being selfish or arrogant or whatever, for me, the sign of a good podcast is if in the middle of their show, I talk out loud as if I'm answering them or responding to some, because it feels, some of them, they do such a great job. It feels like they're sitting on the couch next to you and you're just carrying on a conversation.
Well, mine is, if I look at my podcatcher and I have a bunch of episodes that I haven't listened to, that's a sign that I don't like their podcast. Now sometimes like on a Monday when I open up as a pile, but I tend to really gravitate towards some. There's some that if it's a topic that's not really for me, but I can tell the ones I listen to the most. And no news on the Inflatable Falcon yet. Yeah, I do. I have a list. I don't know if I have an actual list of ones I don't listen to, but there are ones that I'll listen to a little bit, and they just aren't for me. And I have some that are like, I have a weird set of Star Wars podcasts that I like. Like, I like Sal and his family's podcast.
Father and Son.
No, Father and Son. I like those, but I like the Rogue Rebels. I'm trying to think. Steele Saunders. Steele Saunders always has a special place in my heart because he did Zoe's podcast with him in Chicago, on stage. I'm trying to think of some of the others. Yours I listen to. When yours comes up, I listen to it first. Not just saying it because I think you just have such a good mix of knowledge and love and experience in all. It comes from at all different angles. Like, I don't think if someone said make a podcast team, I don't think the group you guys have built could be put together on purpose.
Oh, it was accidental, and it's amazing how it literally fell together, or magically came about. It's wonderful. I feel so blessed to have those four guys to talk with on a recurring basis.
And you have four. It's getting bigger. You're gonna need I don't know. You're gonna need like bigger screen. You're gonna max out if you do video all the time. You're gonna need more screen time.
Yeah, will be literally thumbnails in the thing.
But it's just neat to see all that, because like I always know when when they're saying stuff, I know that in that pause that I know Ken's going to fill us in. Art bought a working grappling hook. That's very good. You'll have to watch the episode of the Star Wars episode of Mythbusters when they made the grappling hook out of, I think, a motorized drill, if I remember correctly.
What do they use for the wire or the twine?
I don't know what they use for the wire, but you can get some pretty strong, even like deep sea fishing wire and stuff like that. You could probably. But I just remember they did the swing across the chasm and stuff like that. But yeah,
one of the things I like about our show when we do get together and record is we do have that connection to what was on screen, what we enjoy about it or what we find creative, and we work hard to figure out what it has inspired other folks to do. I mean, just the fact that like Dexter, who we were able to hang out with on Free Comic Book Day, he spends time drawing Star Wars stuff, or spending time with you and John, who builds Star Wars stuff. Anthony was involved, and Demetrius was involved in the working for Hasbro and Kenner, and Steve has this collection that all of us are jealous of the toys, back from the 70s. So it's motivated him, encouraged him to keep that stuff and continue to get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's a nice mix because I'm still haven't figured out the perfect length of a podcast. Like, I know what it is for me. It's around an hour because that's my commute. But I often wonder, like, is like a half-hour podcast the best length, and just have multiple episodes so people can,
Well, one of the things I've heard from some folks is they say if you're gonna do the show, just do the show. If they need to stop at some point, they'll pick up at that point.
Yeah.
And I think it really comes down to the topic.
That's what Zoe does. We purposefully, when we started Zoe's podcast, the first couple episodes, they were highly edited. And we decided that sounded more like a podcast I would do, and not what two girls and 14-year-old girls would do. So unless they tell me, theirs just goes straight stream of thought, however it plays out. They at least humor me with show notes, but most of the time the show notes is them sharing pictures of stupid stuff between. Like, I could probably just publish their post show notes as a goofy book. So,
and some of the topics, I mean, you could cover in 45 minutes, or an hour. Let's say you talked about just the TK helmets, not the rest of the armor, just the differences in the helmets that show up on stage in the films. That could be an hour and a half. But then if you,
I did an episode on this.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's right. I forgot the CreatorCast. Absolutely.
I got to get back in touch. I got to get Colin back. COVID kind of put us both in a funk when it came to that. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm so you're probably right, because that's what I do. I'm listening when I get out of my car. I pause it and pick it up where I left off. I am overly jealous of iHeartRadio. I don't know if you ever listen to any of their podcasts.
Not yet.
But every one of their podcasts are so well produced. Like, if I had to get a tour of anything non-Star Warsy, I want to go down to Atlanta and take a tour of the iHeartRadio studios.
They don't have one in New York City? I thought there was one up there.
They might have one in New York City too, but I don't know if I think their main office is not their main office. The one they bought. I forget what the company was. The podcast division of iHeartRadio is the company that they bought, which is, I think, How Stuff Works. No.
Okay.
Or one of those. They bought the company out of Atlanta that does a lot of podcasts, and it's just so well researched and so well done. Like, I would recommend, if you're looking for a non-Star Wars podcast, any of their podcasts, as long as you like the content, are just so well done. And I have a few of those. I listen to their non-Star. I used to not listen to anything non-Star Wars, and then actually it was Brian Young got me into one of his, which then led me down the rabbit hole. And then I listened to Holly's Stuff You Missed in History, and then that led me. We actually went to see Holly Fry live when she did in Gettysburg.
Oh, okay.
They did a Gettysburg show, and that just led me down to other, because they put bumpers, just like I was saying to John. They put bumpers, at the beginning and the end of their podcasts for other shows, and they even put them in their feed. So sometimes you'll be listening, and that's what I want to do with John's. I'll just throw a 2-minute bumper in Zoe's feed, so everyone that subscribes will get his bumper in their feed.
Yeah, that's one of the topics of our conversation the last time we got together when we didn't record. The 5 of us got together and tried to figure out ways of A, getting more listeners, and B, doing what we can to be a bit more organized. So when our lives are crazy, we live on 2 different sides of the country, and so when we are together, we want to make the most of that time. And so how do we do that? How do we have this consistent timing for our shows? How do we have balance for our shows so that all 5 of us feel as if they're able to contribute and be involved in the conversation? The last one that we recorded, I felt like I did way too much talking. I felt like I was,
was that the big controversial one?
Yeah. I felt like I did a lot more talking than I should have. And at the same time, I feel like I could do an entire 2-hour episode about the Last Jedi by myself with nobody else on, just stream of consciousness, just go, which I just may do anyway. I'll invite you to that TED Talk.
Yeah, well, I always get the 50 million emails from everyone because I have a podcast, but I always occasionally get them from like Patreon and stuff, and I've never wanted to do a podcast for money, but I have always thought of, if you could do that. I don't want to do a pay window, but if you want to do like a subscriber window where certain people get a little extra. So like on your show, your discussion of planning ahead, if you would record that and put it behind a subscriber window, some people might like that. Like that's like content that you don't put on your feed. You put it on, like a Patreon feed. I think Patreon, you have to use money, but because I actually subscribe to 2 Patreon ones, mainly just to help the guys out. And sometimes the Patreon ones are really neat. Like, I don't know if you've ever listened to Steel Wars, but they do one year by year. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I gotta check that out.
There's a Star Wars book called Year by Year, right?
Yep, I've got that one.
And so Blue Harvest is another one I listen to. Blue Harvest and Steel Wars, they go through, like they do an episode just reading the book. Like they literally just, hey, this is what's this. They just
really,
and when I say it, it doesn't sound interesting, but it is one of my top ones to listen to. And the way they do it, it's for the subscribers only.
What was this? Steel Wars, you said?
Steel Wars. His first name is Steel, Steele, and then Steel Wars is his podcast.
Okay.
But he does. So what he does for his Patreons, his year by year is Patreons, but every third one he puts on his regular feed to kind of like get you connected, But that's it, like, because I was thinking of that big book, that big book I had,
The Vault.
But imagine if you and I went through that book, because it's just like an hour episode, and they just go by page, and then they do it on a live, like you can watch it live on YouTube with pictures and stuff. I'm still more of an audio podcast kind of guy. Like I like this that we're doing now, but my go-to to listen to, I'm not as much of a YouTube person as most people are. I was told I had a face for radio, so
that makes 2 of us. You must have had the same kind of relatives.
Yeah. I was voted most likely to never have a date in high school. They put it in the yearbook.
That's romantic.
The teacher let them put it. These kids that get bullied at school now, I'm like, really? That's someone called you a name. It's forever in a yearbook somewhere.
I was voted most unique my senior year.
Oh, that's good.
I don't know if that was a compliment or not, but
yeah,
that's how it showed up on the page.
I told you before I graduated with 17 people, so I can always say I graduated in the top 10. So, but
so there's another book that I think, going back to this idea of using a book, there is one that's all about stormtroopers.
Yeah, I have that. Well, I have 2. I have the one with the stormtrooper that has it has the back. Does it have the inside a pocket? It has the card.
Yep.
I got that one. They were at Five Below. I bought like 4 copies one time because they were $5 each.
Oh, I missed that one.
And then I got the one, which I don't know how true it is. It's the one that was written by the guy who created the armor. The stormtrooper.
I didn't see that one.
He took like Lucasfilm to court and all this stuff in England, and I don't know. It's a good story of the armor, but it has like once I started reading it, it has a bit of an agenda to it. You know what I mean?
An edge.
Yeah, he's a little angry, which I don't understand how all that works and stuff, but like I understand that certain people made it, but I also understand if Star Wars wasn't, there's a lot of movies that people made a lot of costumes that never went anywhere because the movie sucked. So
yeah,
you kind of, I don't know, it's a good book on the history of the making of the armor and stuff.
I mean, I don't see people fighting over the Waterworld costumes.
All right, yeah, I like that movie though. Actually, I used to use the intro of Waterworld when I taught
Earth Science
for environmental and the environmental unit. I would melding of the it's actually it's not really the melding of the northern part. That's not going to hurt us. It's Antarctica that hurts us because when it's floating in water, it doesn't. The North Pole isn't going to. If it all melts, we'll be okay. But when the South Pole goes, then we're in trouble. I mean, we're in trouble with the North Pole. I don't want one of our 2 people watching us to be mad that I made fun of Santa Claus's homeland. So, yeah, no, that I like that Stormtrooper book. I mean, that has a big section of 501st in it too.
Yep. And then they did one all on Vader too.
Yeah. Okay.
I can imagine them at some point in the not too distant future doing one either on Mandalorian and all of the iterations of them, and or one specifically on Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Just because of the fun history of how that costume came to be.
Oh yeah, that just in and of itself, yeah. Well, I personally like. I don't know if you've ever seen it. So and I think we talked about this before. The Maryland Garrison has a big book with all the CRLs. I would love to see the Mandalorian Mercs do something like that, but instead of CRLs, wouldn't it be cool to have what looks like an old tome and have?
Oh, that'd be cool.
But with your your clan, just your members in it, so that you just like they can. Hey, look, there's what's his name, and there's who's what's it, and
Well, kind of like. Did you get any of those? Whether it's Jedi or Sith, the books that came in the special cases, and they had little notes written. There was in the Jedi one. There was a note from Yoda and a note from Obi-Wan and stuff like that. That'd be a cool project for each clan to do.
Yeah. We have the Jedi one. I don't know if we have the other ones because like that was when they came out. That was in that weird time where like I didn't really think much of the Star Wars books as much, like until Disney took over, like or right before. Like I like the DK books just because of building costumes and stuff. I just like the picture books and stuff. But I never got much into the other books, other than the West End Games books.
See, I like those books, especially if you got the special set because you got the book and then the case it came in. So the Sith book came in a holocron that you pushed a button and the book slid out over. The Jedi one opened up. They had Jedi, Sith,
and
Mandos, Jedi or Rebel Files and Imperials, I think. So there's 6 of them. 6 or 7. They were really cool.
Yeah. So we did a escape room. Remember right before the pandemic, how big escape rooms? The pandemic pretty much killed a lot of them.
Now it's lock yourself in a room. That's how you want to escape reality.
They had a Star Wars escape room in Newark, Delaware, right down at University of Delaware, and they had a Star Wars one, and the one prop was the holocron.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it was pretty good. I messed up on the math, which I feel bad. you know, being a math teacher, that was embarrassing.
Well, it's probably the new math. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was that new math.
It was the new math.
No, I just was, I didn't even think that I could use I was just trying to speedily do it by hand with no paper. I was like, and then I didn't think I could just use my phone as a calculator. I was like, oh, that's, so that's the one where Zoe was reading the Arabic. Like one of the clues was in Arabic and you had to find the translate, and she knows it. So she was just, and they communicate you through a screen, and they're like, we've never seen anyone able to read that.
Not that there are nerds in this group or anything, but yeah, there are nerds in this group. It's okay.
Yeah.
I got a silly question for you.
Yes.
So if you were to give advice to someone who's never seen Star Wars, actually, no, I'll rephrase. What advice would you give to someone when it comes to watching these movies or these shows or whatever? What advice would you give them to help them get the most enjoyment out of whatever's on the screen?
You mean like what order to watch them, or
no, just enjoyment, period.
See, I think personally, if you're watching Star Wars, you got to watch it with other people. Like I just think it's made to be watched that way. Like the whole, as much as it's fun to have all our Star Wars stuff, it's the most fun is when you're with other Star Wars fans.
Okay.
So that would be my first thing. And then I would like if it was someone who never saw Star Wars or something who wanted to start enjoying it, what's really nice now compared to in the past, you can pick what genre you want to enter Star Wars at. You have The Mandalorian, which is, to me right now, I would think The Mandalorian, as much as you need some backstory, but if you wanted someone who was iffy, if they watched that first, there's enough throwbacks to everything. It should make you want to watch other things. Because you'd be like, what's that?
That's a pretty brave idea. I didn't think of that.
I'm just saying because and even Boba Fett, as much as some people don't like it, Boba Fett had more viewers than The Mandalorian, if I remember correctly, on the first go around. But you have the cartoons. Like if you have kids that are into anime, you have every version of cartoon to watch. The only thing I could think that could hurt someone new, if they're really young and you put them on the first three, they might seem like slow moving movies to them.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because
a lot of kids don't really understand politics and trade routes and tariffs,
right? But
political intrigue.
If you throw them into any of the other genres, because then you just want to know more. Like even Rogue One. Imagine if Rogue One was your first one. That puts you right. You're like, well, what's this and that, and then you can be like, hey, we know how that was built, and then that stuff becomes interesting. But I think the Mandalorian, like, Grogu's going to hook them.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It'd be hard to find that many people though that don't know a lot about Star Wars. It's just so ingrained in a lot of our.
Yeah, see, and that's the one thing I find interesting with, John said he has, he recently recorded a podcast with someone who just watched the Star Wars movies for the first time. And even though he watched them for the first time, he had still been exposed to Star Wars stuff. Yeah, so it wasn't like he went into them like we went into the first ones.
Right.
Where it was literally and figuratively all new.
Right.
We had never seen this before.
Right.
Whereas now, I mean, most folks know, even if they've never watched the movies, and this is a spoiler for those of you who haven't watched movies, Vader is Luke's father. Like they've heard that before. They've known that before.
And they've seen the droids. Like I think people forget the impact those droids had in 77. Like Lucas didn't even put Anthony Daniels' name on there because he wanted everyone to think, you know what I mean? Like yep. which was good. That's when I was reading Anthony Daniels' book. He even talks about that.
When they showed up in other places, like when they were on the Muppet Show or whatever, they were listed as R2D2 and C3PO as himself.
Yep. Yep. And Anthony Daniels even talked about that in the book and that's the clip people were pulling to make Anthony Daniels sound like he was bitter about Star Wars. And he was saying in the book, he was saying that he wasn't happy with it at first until, and I don't know if you read Anthony Daniels' book, but the nice thing about his book is he explains how his emotions changed over the years,
And he's one of those people involved with Star Wars. If they invite him to do something, he does it. I mean, he did that whole Christmas album, and he would get in the suit for Sesame Street or whatever happens, or
and after putting someone in that suit, that's a big feat. Like mentally, you have to be prepared because you're at the whim of whoever's putting you in that suit.
Yep.
And and I just remember in Star Wars Insider, back when basically everyone bailed on George Lucas, you still had Anthony Daniels writing a column in the Insider, and sticking by him.
Yep.
No, I mean, not knocking Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill, but those guys distance themselves. Like now they're all like, especially Mark Hamill's all about Star Wars, and he seems really genuine, but he distanced himself from Star Wars for a while,
Yeah, because both of them wanted to seem like more than just Star Wars.
Yes.
And unfortunately, some actors and actresses, depending on what they get involved in and when, that's what they'll always get associated with. I mean, Daniel Radcliffe, I think, till the end of time, will most notably be referred to as Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Though
he did a good Batman, or no, he didn't do Batman. He did. No, Daniel Radcliffe is the one they're talking about might do Wolverine.
Oh, really?
That was a rumor that he might do Wolverine.
Wow, that'd be pretty interesting.
He'd be a good Wolverine because Wolverine in the comic book's really short. So,
although, do you think he'd do a good Canadian accent? Because Wolverine was Canadian, wasn't he?
Yeah, but see, it might be good to have him Canadian and not do any kind of accent. Like just have him, because I know a lot of people from Canada. They sound like us, like or we sound like them. Like,
Well, what's funny is I spent a year living abroad, and I lived in Sydney for 10 months and spent a month traveling around. And Americans have a bad rap around the world. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but so I would often tell people I'm Canadian.
Yeah. Well,
and it seemed to go over well. It seemed to be more welcome than mentioning that you're American.
We used to get the French Canadian when I worked in the restaurants. They'd come down a certain day of the week when I was a kid, when I worked in the restaurants. We get the French Canadian all the time. Yeah, no, I mean, it's so, that's where sometimes when I hear people get all worked up about what they dislike about Star Wars, but then they deify like whatever cast members from the past, and they have many things to do with things not working out at certain points in time. Like I love the old movies, but if you want to cut on anyone's acting, Harrison Ford was phoning it in for Return of the Jedi. I don't care what anyone says.
If you look back at it, one of the reasons why George Lucas had him frozen in carbonite is because they weren't sure they were going to have him come back for that third movie.
Right. I remember that because that was one of the first stories that I remember as a kid hearing about. That was I didn't really give a crap about all that stuff, but that was one of the first like non-universe stories that I heard as a kid. It was in Parade magazine or something like that. They had a story about like Harrison Ford might not come back or something like that.
I mean, from what I remember, people, I thought he himself thought his character should die.
Yeah. Well, I am, and to go along with some of John's posts, I am tired of actors when they speak for the character, because to me it diminishes the writer that created that character. Like, I know the actors create them and portray them, but the creators, I think the writers sometimes get lost in it.
Yeah, I also think, to your point, the fans occasionally give the actors far more credit for the character than they deserve.
Did you see my trooper falling down? I really lived that part when I almost tripped.
We were just John. We were just talking about suggestions that we would give to someone watching Star Wars for the first time to get as much enjoyment out of it as possible. What suggestions would you give to someone to help them enjoy it?
Don't go on social media until you watch all the movies.
There you go.
Go in with a totally open mind. So that's my biggest piece of advice, because when you dig into the rabbit hole, it's my age old, you're gonna scare people away, because when you start getting that like toxic chatter, like my comment sections on all of my videos are a war zone. And I mean, to be fair, I'm instigating it just a wee bit, but let's
well, you're not deliberately asking people to argue or be argumentative. I mean, you're putting fodder out there for, food out there to feed the trolls, but that doesn't mean that the trolls has to make a feast of it.
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
I definitely, though, I would say stay away from social media. Don't go on to Reddit or TikTok looking for Star Wars content. Watch the movies first, form your opinions, and then dig into that.
Okay.
Well, and to speak on the TikTok content especially, I like what John does only because there's a small vocal minority that just makes people feel bad for liking certain things, and I'm glad that John's making the trolls feel uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, so basically kind of my thought process behind all this has just been like, all right, I'm just gonna I'll lay on the I'll catch the bullet. I will give these people a place to be in, to where they can argue, because someone who isn't, I don't want to say as conditioned, someone who's not as into Star Wars as I am, where like my opinion's not going to be swayed by someone telling me, oh, raise a Palpatine in the comments. I mean, I stopped reading them. Like, I've had two or three guys that have been going back and forth arguing with each other for 3 days. Well, 3 days
arguing with each other over your TikTok?
In my comments. Neither of them follow me, but they are arguing in my comments section.
The plus side to that is, though, at least they're not harassing other creators. Because I do see people that just look, hey, here's my Star Wars costume of Rey, and then they'll just get bashed to death, for this. But here, so Ben said, would you watch them 1 to 9, or would you watch them in order release?
Ken, I'll let you go first.
That's an interesting question. I guess it depends on. Do you want to just watch the story, or do you also want to be part of the history? So what I mean by that is, if you watch them in the order in which they were released, you'll then be able to experience some of that stuff the way that we did, watching them 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So it really, are you just interested in the story as it is from beginning to end, or do you kind of want to experience some of what we went through because we watched them in that way?
I also think that's one of those ones where I said earlier, where it's based on the age of the person. If you have really young people watching episode 1 or episode 1 would be fine. If they watch, because episode 1's a relatively paced film. But if you had a younger person watch them in release order, I still think New Hope would be it might seem very slow to a 17-year-old nowadays. That would be
I think my preferred watch order is the Machete order. So to kind of break that down as to what it is, it's you watch episode 4 and 5, so that way you get the I am your father reveal. Then you go watch 1, 2, 3, so then you get the backstory of Anakin Skywalker, and then 6, 7, 8, 9 to round it out.
And what I find interesting about this, even just the question, would you watch them 1 through 9? They're also missing 5 other theatrical releases.
Oh yeah,
They're missing both Rogue One and Solo.
Yep.
which fit in there.
Yep.
They're missing both Ewok movies.
Yep.
And they're also missing the animated Clone Wars.
Right. And the holiday special.
Yeah, well, the reason I didn't put that in there is because I wouldn't categorize that as a movie so much as entertainment, because it doesn't. I don't think it adds to or takes away from the story so much.
It takes
I
away
still
from
think I think it's a very unique time capsule.
It's more of a time capsule of 1978 than it is of Star Wars.
Well, no, I think it's a time capsule of both.
Yeah.
Because if you think about one of the reasons why they wanted to do that at all, so way back when, for those of you young listeners out there, a movie would come out, and if after you got done watching it in the movie, that was it. You may not see that again for quite some time.
If ever.
You didn't, if ever. So you didn't have YouTube. If they didn't do a sequel, or they didn't do anything else, that might be the only chance you got at it. Whereas, so what they had to do, they needed to keep Star Wars in people's attention. They needed to keep it alive, and they did 1978 holiday special. They did the Donnie and Marie show.
Yep.
There was an episode of the Richard Pryor show. So there were some of these other things in between the movies to keep Star Wars still active in entertainment conversations. And I just think it's really, really funny that they chose the variety kind of show with musical guests and performances and really weird Wookiee porn.
There is a good podcast, Stuff You Should Know, from iHeartRadio. They do an on the Star Wars holiday special.
Really?
Yeah. It's if you just search it up, they play it once a year. On the around Life Day, they'll do a replay of it. But it's really good. I mean, it's a research based. It's not like a big Star Wars fan one, but it talks about who the producer of it and why it was made and all this, and it's a good little podcast. From non-Star Wars fans, I think sometimes the Star Wars fans we lose on some of the minutia of it.
Well, I think Star Wars fans get too caught up in, is it canon or not?
Yeah.
Instead of just letting it be what it is. I mean, I'm not saying it was great. However, because it's Star Wars related, I do find, some fun value in it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if Ben had heard, because that's what I was saying and I don't know if John heard. I would almost tell people nowadays to start with The Mandalorian to get their feet wet in the Star Wars universe. Because I think there's enough in The Mandalorian that it would make them want to watch the other stuff.
I think my only problem with that is there's quite a bit of tongue in cheek, nods to the deeper universe that I feel like a lot of that will either just be totally lost or lost on someone fresh watching Star Wars, or it'll just be overly confusing.
Well, and that's what I added to that when I was talking earlier. I said I also think the best way to watch Star Wars is with other people. And some of the best memories is there's always that Star Wars guy that just knows a little more, and he can lean in and say, "Hey, that's blah blah blah. That's blah blah blah." Like you can say that's that cantina with the droids. They never let droids in there before,
And now it's run by a droid.
Yeah.
Right.
And that droid's voice is Mark Hamill.
Yeah. So, I don't think there's any bad way to start Star Wars, to be totally honest with you. Like, again, there's enough different animation that you can get someone hooked in just the styles of animation. Because I know the Clone Wars, I enjoy that now, but that was a rough one to start with when it first came out. It just looked weird.
Yeah, that kind of that blockiness really. When I was a kid, because that was what 2008 when the movie came out.
Yeah.
So I would have been 9 years old when that came out, and going from, watching the 6 theatrical releases to then that's the new Star Wars. It was so jarring.
Yeah.
So obviously now, I mean, we've come around to it where it's
Right.
that's the bar when it comes to Star Wars animation.
Right. Well, and even Rebels, when Rebels came out, there's a lot of people complaining about that because it had lower budget, not as good a background, blah blah blah.
Well, what's really funny about Rebels is the folks who did that based the majority of that work on Macquarie.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's really funny to hear people say that they don't appreciate what it looks like. However, that's the look that got Star Wars made.
Yep. Well, and the it goes back to, if you read Lucas's biography, he was known for, like, if he trimmed, if he cut film, he would save little pieces of film and shove them in jars, and that's basically what Filoni did. He took all that Macquarie stuff that was just sitting around, like, hey, we can use that, Why it still amazes me that Rebels brought that troop transport tank. That was the toy you didn't want to get. If you got that toy in the 80s, it was because they couldn't find anything else Star Wars. You're like, what am I going to do with this thing?
And I think a lot of the people that complained about Rebels, ironically enough, were complaining because it was different than the Clone Wars.
Yep.
So it was, again, a stark contrast from what we were used to.
Oh,
I prefer the Rebels animation look over the Clone Wars because I like the nice smooth lines, and I like the and I'm going to get hate for this, but I like the thinner lightsaber design.
See, and I'm not a lightsaber guy, so lightsabers, like when people are talking lightsabers, I'm like, I never noticed that because I'm like a stormtrooper guy. Like I like the armor, I like the clone armor, I like the stormtroopers armor in Rebels. I just so that's the stuff I notice.
My only complaint with the Rebels armor, two. They're both minor, just because I'm a big fan of just the classic TK. Is I think they're too thin and the frown is too V shaped.
Well, the Rebel armor reminds me of the FX helmet. That's I just like I like the classic TK too, but when I see stormtroopers, and I like the pilots, the way they did the pilots. I like the way they shaded the pilots. But it's just funny because me and Zoe talk about it quite a bit, that everyone hated Ahsoka and now everyone loves her. And again, it goes back to the nerd days of being a nerd when no one. It's just funny that all of a sudden, when we couldn't find someone that loved Ahsoka, now everyone loves her. It's just.
Or how about them for the Book of Boba Fett, taking what were background characters in the cantina and giving them front and center roles, like the mayor of Mos Espa being an Ithorian, even calling them Ithorian instead of calling them hammerheads.
Yeah.
So I think when they were making the Mandalorian, Filoni and Favreau talked about how they took the toys from their toy box and their brother's toy box and made sure that they put them up on screen, whether it was the Ithorians or the Rhodians or whatever.
The guy with the devil horns that.
The Devronian, yeah.
Yeah, that helped to free them.
Yep.
Because that was one of those ones. He was the only one that kind of looked out of character in the cantina, because he was like, yeah, that doesn't, And they put what's his name, Dr. Mandible, because like.
You mean the big giant praying mantis guy?
Yeah. So, that guy, the guy making that prop that day was like, oh, I forgot to make it, so he just grabbed like one of those rubber praying mantises or something.
Yeah.
All these people are bringing these creative, heads like this one above me here, right here, and this guy brings in a praying mantis or something. I don't know.
Now, did we all watch the gallery episode on the Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, that was nice.
Did I miss that conversation, or have we not had it yet?
Oh, we didn't talk about it yet.
We didn't get to that. Those galleries are so good.
I wish they would do more. I could. This is gonna surprise you. I could watch 20 hours of just that.
Wow, who'd have thunk? That's surprising.
Well, see, to me, I would honestly, I wish they would do an episode, and then the week after do a gallery on that episode.
Well, like they used to do with the Clone Wars cartoon,
Yeah.
they would do the Rebel recap or the
Yeah.
something like that.
Well, I'm saying stretch it out so I get more Star Wars and just like let that. Because what would be nice is, and I never do it, it'd be nice to, if you had a short that told you about it, and then you go rewatch it and see what they picked, what they pointed out.
I mean, one of the other ideas I've had for an entire podcast is the movies that inspired Star Wars or Star Wars Film School. I mean, they talked about in that episode of Gallery, they talked about how, part of Boba Fett was inspired by Lawrence of Arabia and how, other classic movies showed up on screen. And there are so many movies that you could go back to that inspired George, that inspired Ryan Johnson. In fact, when they were putting together The Last Jedi, Ryan had the crew watch like 7 different movies that he picked up different pieces from to help inspire what ended up being The Last Jedi. Even George, when he was making the New Hope, he spliced together bits from a dogfight from was it Dam Busters or something like that?
Yeah.
He said, "I want my movie to look like this," and he literally went into the editing room, chopped up a movie, and said, "This is what I want this dogfight to look like in Star Wars."
Yeah. I like the Lee Van Cleef.
Yeah.
Because
Cad Bane.
Yeah, because me growing up, the one movie that my grandfather loved, and it was always on some odd channel, was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Like every time it was on, if it was on at 11 at night or 10 in the afternoon or 10 in the morning on a Saturday, we watched The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And I always fell asleep halfway through it, but because it's so that's like a Marvel length movie,
Yep.
But
And even the music from that inspired Ludwig for the music for The Mandalorian.
well,
That spaghetti western kind of music.
LucasArts made a game called Outlaws, and it was a first-person shooter western, and it has an entire soundtrack, which I have on my iTunes on my one computer because it came with the disc, and it was spaghetti western music. And it was a first-person shooter. I want to say late '90s, so it was that just like about the time of what was this first Star Wars first-person shooter, Dark Forces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
About that same time, but it was a western, and you had 6 shooters, and you had the train robberies and all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And
I think one of the other suggestions I would give to someone watching Star Wars is to just be open to whatever shows up on screen.
Yep.
Because if you can choose to believe any of it, and I can argue that almost all of it is ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
If you can believe any of it, then you can believe all of it.
Well, yeah, and just remember being a kid. Just remember, it's. I don't want to say it's a kid's movie in the sense that you have to be a kid to watch it, but you do have to suspend belief, and it's not science fiction.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's reasons why Lucasfilm does not make books on how a hyperdrive works, because that's not why people watch Star Wars. I mean.
Well, what's funny about that is they have recently done that.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that at the beginning. Like they wanted you to see what it looked like. They wanted you to see the iterations of the concept art that showed up on screen, but they didn't go into all of that kind of detail. And I think it's really funny when people argue today about some of the movies and say, well, why is this one big ship unable to catch that small ship? Because they said you can't. Like just they told you they can't, so let that be okay and carry on with the story.
Why did Luke have the only belt that had a grappling hook?
Where did he get her green lightsaber when everybody else had blue and red?
Yeah. Here's Outlaws for you.
That could be straight out of Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But that's music. Whoops! What was it? Keep playing now? That's Lucasfilm or LucasArts game Outlaws. So.
Yeah, I after I watched the gallery episode of the Book of Boba Fett, I went back and watched. I think it's funny. The sixth episode of the second season of The Mandalorian and the first season of the Book of Boba Fett are two of my favorite, just capsules of Star Wars.
What's the sixth episode? You have to. Which one's that?
The sixth episode of the second season of The Mandalorian is the tragedy, the one with Boba Fett.
When they steal the baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. That one makes me too sad. Even though I know he gets rescued, it makes me sad.
See, but I think Robert Rodriguez is his vision and his direction that he had with that episode. It perfectly encapsulates what Star Wars is, because it feels so grounded and so real. Because a lot of that was not shot in the volume; it was on set on those cliffs.
Yep.
And I the dialogue is fantastic as well. So, and then the sixth episode of the Book of Boba Fett is the one that opens with Cobb Vanth.
Oh yeah,
and the training episode with Luke.
Yeah.
Was that Stranger from a Desert? Is that the one you said? Is that that one? Okay.
And that's what I like about Star Wars. I like two things which are almost completely opposed to each other. I like when they use different directors, and I can't wait to see when a whole director has the whole thing like a series.
Well, you've only got 2 weeks until you see that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm looking forward to. I like it. I like the change when it changes, but I also like. I can't wait to see when one director gets to run their whole vision through.
Now, is Deborah Chow the whole director for all of Obi-Wan, and nobody else does them?
Yeah. I believe she's the only director, but there are several writers.
Okay, kind of like the Clone Wars, then. Several writers and okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking forward to seeing that too. You know, because I think, you know, I mean, the people that hated the all the movies except for the prequels, Lucas, he did all three, and I liked them. You know, I liked what he did with the prequels. You know, because didn't George Lucas direct all three?
Mm-hmm.
So
he did, yep. And I think he had help though with some of the writing for those three.
Right, but he directed them all, so you could see that, like, you know, and the first three chronological were different, you know, different directors, but you know, it's just neat. I think sometimes because we live in the age of information, we know too much that we probably don't need to know. You know, like every time you hear a director gets fired or this or that, like back in the day, you didn't hear all that. You just like here's what it is. You know.
Well, I also think back in the day, going back to one of your comments earlier about, you know, watching it as a kid, you didn't care. Like you truly did not care. And what's I find interesting is only with Star Wars does it seem like people will hone in on that and focus on that. So when you talk about any of their other favorite movies and you ask them, well, who was the director, who was the producer, whatever, they probably can't tell you.
Right.
But when it comes to Star Wars, we know down to the, you know, to the costumer or, you know, the lead special effects director or whatever. You know, was Doug Chiang involved in the production design or not?
And that's partially thanks to George Lucas, because he used his films to help people learn how to make films. You know, it's the same with the animation we talked the other week. You didn't know most animated voice actors until Rebels. And it brought people to the forefront. You know a few people, but, you know, now most of the animated people we know's voices is due to the celebrity that the Star Wars voice actors have gotten people. Probably, maybe Simpsons and Futurama would be the exception to that.
Thank you. I appreciate that nod to Futurama.
Well, but I'm saying I knew like Billy West. I knew his name before, you know, Star Wars. He would be one of the and the I don't know her name now, but the girl that does like Lisa Simpson and Bart Simpson. At one point in time, they had a little bit of a celebrity thing going before the Star Wars people came up. Once Rebels came out, once Clone Wars came out, really, then voice actors became, more household names.
Yeah, because even Mark Hamill had done like hundreds of voices, and I think folks didn't even really notice or pay attention to it.
He did the Joker for years, and no one paid attention until some of the other Star Wars actors started getting. And I wonder if is that because Lucasfilm treated them like professionals? Is it something that Lucasfilm fostered in how they did it, or is it just like, did they help promote them so they had to pay them less money? Like, I wonder why that is.
Yeah, I don't know. I think part of it may be the curiosity. I mean, going back to that story about John Knoll. I mean, John Knoll saw Star Wars, went out to California with his dad, and decided he wanted to look up ILM because he liked Star Wars so much, and he knew it was done by Industrial Lights and Magic. And so, I think Star Wars fosters and encourages that curiosity, that discovery, even to a certain degree, that transparency. Even back in '78, they had the art of books, the making of books, whether it was the actual Star Wars books or even in magazines like Starlog and whatever, they had that information out there.
And those TV specials, they would run the TV specials, was it Empire of Dreams and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, too. Creatures of the Cantina. Yes, they did bunches and bunches of them. But I don't remember those sort of behind the scenes things being that big of a deal for other franchises.
I think the only thing I ever remember seeing before that was Planet of the Apes, and I think it was because they won like a makeup something at the Oscars or something. I think that's the only one because that's the only thing I ever remember seeing before that.
Well, there was Jaws. They did the Jaws log. That was kind of a big deal, but the other ones not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even comparing it to today's standards, you don't really see a lot of behind the scenes stuff come out. And I guess the direct comparison, as close as you can get, would be the Marvel franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see a Disney gallery of Moon Knight.
Oh, right. Well, actually, there is. It's called Assembled.
Oh, well, I stand corrected. Yeah. But I mean, to my point though, like I consider myself a fairly decent Marvel fan. I had no idea.
And I think they're following that Star Wars kind of model of getting some of that stuff out there, because now they have some of the art of books, whether it's the art of Black Panther or whatever.
But Marvel's always had a tough transition because Marvel came from comic books and went to movies. Star Wars is always and probably always will be a visual medium. I don't want to just say movies because I think what we consider movies is going to change in the next couple of years.
Yeah, especially with Disney Plus. I mean, we've had how many hours of Book of Boba and Mandalorian? I think we have as many hours of them as we actually more than we had of the original trilogy.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because I mean, 2 hours of pop. You're only at 6 hours. A season and a half of one of those shows, you're already there.
Yeah.
And I think again, that way we watched the Book of Boba Fett. I can't say I'm not going to think about renting a theater this summer at one point in time and watching some Obi-Wan Kenobi too.
I am so excited for Obi-Wan. I mean, this is so it's I think it's the perfect storm of this is everyone's childhood, like of our age groups. This is everyone's childhood. You get that original trilogy feel from the era it's set in, but with my Obi-Wan from my childhood.
Well, and Tatooine's a good place because Tatooine is even though it's the furthest from the brightest center of the universe, the center of the Star Wars universe, whether they like it or not. And it's
seems awfully popular for being just a scug hole in the middle of nowhere.
So I'm hoping for a Dr. Aphra and 000 spot.
Would you be happy with them just kind of traipsing through a scene?
That's all I need. That's all I need.
Like Pondo Baba and Dr.
Yep.
Azraban and Rogue One.
Yep, that's all I need.
I still wonder if they're going to canonize how Chrysanthemum got his scar.
Oh, from fighting.
With Obi-Wan, right?
Yeah, but wasn't that after New Hope?
No.
It couldn't be after New Hope.
Oh, no, he fought with... Yeah, he did fight with Obi-Wan.
No, he fought with Luke and Boba Fett.
I thought it was Obi-Wan.
I thought it was Luke and Boba Fett because I thought it was Luke and Boba Fett in Obi-Wan's house.
Ah, okay.
Chrysanthemum was briefly blinded and scarred by Kenobi's lightsaber. He tried to shoot Kenobi again with his electrified net gun, but it was destroyed.
Okay, I was thinking of when they were fighting, when they were looking for... Yeah, okay. I'm trying to... Yeah, I have to reread I have to go back to my comic books. I can't afford to read Star Wars. I need a second job to buy all the Star Wars comic books. Keep up with them. I did it for like 2 or 3 years, and I couldn't keep going and getting like $70 worth of comic books a month to keep up.
Yeah. Do I buy lunch this week or no?
Yeah.
I got to get back to doing that, preparing my meals and bringing it to work, so I don't have to worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
I hope we answered Ben's question for him.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. That happened in 10 BBY.
Oh, okay.
So that's
So-
right at the time where this happens.
Oh,
Right
they got the suit. They got the suit.
They
and
do.
the actor.
Cool.
Do you think we're going to see any clones in Obi-Wan?
I don't know.
Played by
No.
Tamura Morrison?
I wouldn't get my hopes up personally because my head tells me let's not muddy the waters too much because they did just do an entire show with Tamura Morrison as Boba Fett, and yes, they are clones, but to your average viewer, you might sit there and think, well, why is Boba Fett in Obi-Wan if this is supposed to take place several years beforehand?
Yeah, unless I could see a quick scene of them talking about the clones in Order 66, because they're gonna have to say enough to the person. There's a lot of people who are going to turn Obi-Wan on that haven't seen the movies. You know, I mean, that happened with the Mandalorian. They had to put some in there. It's just because it's a limited series. I want to see tons of cameos, but I don't want it to be like, cameo after cameo. I want to see Obi-Wan be Obi-Wan.
Well, I think like it'd be substantial. I mean, one of the ways that is possible, not saying it is we know that Obi-Wan is off of Tatooine.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they mentioned in the trailers is that their kindness is like a sickness, or their kindness is like an itch they can't scratch or whatever. So is it a clone that needs Obi-Wan's help, or is it another Jedi that needs Obi-Wan's help that takes him off of Tatooine, and then that's where all heck breaks loose?
I just hope Obi-Wan and Vader don't meet up. That's my hope.
I think they're going to.
I know. I just hope they don't.
Yeah.
I see. I'm trying to go into this with as little expectation as possible.
Yeah.
For the simple fact of I've been looking forward to this since 2005. Seeing Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan was like if I had to categorize like a Star Wars bucket list, that was always at the top. But I'm just trying to. I don't want to get my hopes up too high. That way, no matter what, it's always going to be. This was a fantastic show. It's never going to be. It's never going to have that black stain of, well, oh, it didn't have X Y or Z happen. So it's good, but I never want to have that but tacked on
I'm
the
surprised
end.
you didn't want like a series on like the pod racing circuit and what it took to become a successful pod racer
I
with like
I would not be upset about that.
you know.
That's actually, you say that
I love it.
in a joking matter, but that would be awesome. It's just like a NASCAR documentary
Yeah, you bet.
show.
redneck Jawas, with old Imperial flag or with old Republic flags as their
Yeah, you bet.
on the back of their sandcrawler.
We-
And no,
A show about Sebulba.
I still want a National Geographic type Star Wars series. It just goes to different planets. Like I just want a series that is I want a series that takes place in universe, but that is not anything important. Like imagine just you did the racing circuit, you did a couple episodes of that, and it even had commercials built in universe. Just give me, like a 3 series part of that, and then the next one they might go to maybe they could go to Camino and look at all the nice labs, and in the background you see him shuffling Omega away.
Who was the guy that used to show up on the late night TV shows with all the animals?
Yeah,
Jack Hanna. Yeah,
Yeah.
do something like that
Yeah,
to see all the different creatures in the Star Wars.
yeah.
And it could be an alien. It's like a Rhodian. I mean, how funny would it be to see a Rhodian going around and giving the mating habits of a Wampa or whatever?
I'm still thinking more of a crocodile hunter. Like a
Steve Irwin
yeah, Steve
or Steve
Irwin.
Corwin, whatever his name is.
Yeah, what
Steve
like
Irwin.
him. Yeah,
Crikey.
yeah. But he'd be more of like a caricature of himself. Yeah, no, I mean that's I don't know. I mean it could happen. I mean they're going to I would have never thought we would have got a Boba Fett series. I would have never thought, and I think they were so smart with doing the Mandalorian, because we got everything that we thought we wanted out of Boba Fett. We got in the Mandalorian without making, because if they would have made Boba Fett be like the Mandalorian, he would have been a very two-dimensional character. Because he would have been that gunslinger that never grew up and stayed a gunslinger. Where now we started with the Mandalorian and he did all this cool stuff and he's still a gunslinger, but he's slowly becoming a better person, just like Boba Fett is.
Wow, it's almost like we can have character growth for these characters that we've grown up with. Who'd have thunk? What a concept.
Well, and I said this before many times everywhere I talk, and I'm not knocking Star Trek fans, but I was so worried when I heard they were making a new Star Wars movie, that it was going to be like a Star Trek movie in the sense that we would have all the old characters doing the same exact stuff at 70 that they did as 20. And that's the one. I like the old Star Trek, and I like a lot of the new stuff they're doing, but they've almost Star Wars'd the new Star Trek in the sense that you see characters growing and changing. Where when you look at the new Star Trek, the old Star Trek movie, the first one, you had Captain Kirk and his whole crew doing exactly what they were doing in their 70s. They were doing, and I don't know. I don't think that would have went over well. Like if as much as people wanted Luke and Han and Leia to get back together and in the Falcon going on an adventure, I think that sounds better in your head than it would have looked on film.
They would. Anyone will try and find anything to complain about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a no-win scenario, no matter what.
Right. But I'm saying like Boba Fett, what they did with him in the Tuscans and how they changed that character, I don't think you could have done that character any more justice.
Well, I think one thing that could have happened, not saying it had to happen, is there's still a whole lot of Boba Fett's life that we didn't get to see yet.
Yep.
So that adolescence where he spent with Aura Singh and he spent with Cad Bane, leading up into working for Jabba the Hutt. So we didn't get to see that part of his trajectory, his path.
And we will, maybe. We will. That's the
Yeah,
cool.
it's definitely possible. I mean, they definitely opened the door for it. I mean, shoot, I'd watch that.
Yeah.
And the best part
I'd
is,
re-up my Disney Plus subscription.
the best part is you have an actor who would be more than willing to do so in Daniel Logan.
Yep.
Yeah, you bet.
I think that would be fantastic to see, because then you can please the masses. You've got us who want to see, actual character growth and see how these characters evolve into, the next phase of their story. But
Yep.
then you can also you have that gunslinger bounty hunter aspect of young Boba Fett that everyone was clamoring to see.
Yeah. Oh, and then maybe we can see what's his name push or sing off the wherever. That's an underused.
Beckett, Tobias Beckett, yeah.
Yeah.
We need more Woody Harrelson in Star Wars.
That he was one of my favorite parts of Solo, because I was worried with him. I was worried that Solo wouldn't have been Solo enough for me, and I was worried that Woody Harrelson would be too much Woody Harrelson for me. Neither were, like Woody Harrelson. Like it was awesome.
It was a wonderful balance, that's for sure.
So, but that's cool. Yeah, I
think the other suggestion I would give to someone watching Star Wars is to be prepared that there's no way that they're going to catch it all the first time they watch it.
And there's always people like us that probably catch way too much than we ever should.
Yeah.
I would like to see an interview with George Lucas and someone describe how much Star Wars affects our lives, just us three. And there's people that it probably affects even more, coming from a man with 4 rooms full of Star Wars stuff. But I would love George Lucas's honest opinion. Like I would love, would he be flattered? Would he be scared? Would he be like, I don't understand? You know what I mean? I'm curious,
Well, do you think he'd be kind to our face and then get in the car going, wow, what a bunch of weirdos. Like, what have I created? Like, they need to get different lives. What have I done?
Yeah, like that old...
Or what have they done?
That old William Shatner Saturday Night Live sketch where he was telling the Trekkies to get a life or something like that. Yeah,
I mean, one of the things I really enjoy about hanging out with both of you talking about this stuff is I feel like if anybody in Lucasfilm or anybody who is involved in Star Wars listens to the show, and I'm sure that Ray Park is listening, and James Arnold Taylor and Ashley Eckstein, they're all listening to it right now. So I'm just going to say hi. I think if any John Knoll, hey buddy, I hope you're not, we're not distracting you from building the next thing in your garage. If they were to listen to us, they would be appreciative of the respect and admiration and kindness that we have towards them for all that they've done on screen, off screen to enhance our lives without them even really knowing it until we say it out loud.
Yep. And we have Chad Vader too. We still haven't talked about Millennium Falcon. Like I'm picturing Obi-Wan's finale is he buys an inflatable Falcon for that young Luke kid, to play on.
Here, you get to pilot this.
Yeah.
There you go.
And what would be funny is that he didn't buy the sandbags, and in one of those Tatooine dust storms, it gets blown. It gets blown to Mos Pelgo.
Yeah.
Freetown.
Yeah. That's how Freetown is established. You know how I think Mos Eisley was established around the wreckage. Was it Mos Eisley was a wreckage?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that Freetown is around a giant inflatable Falcon.
Well, gentlemen, I have to go administer some medicine, so I have to call it an evening.
Yeah, I gotta call it too. This will be the earliest we got done. I'm fighting a tooth infection / earache, so I'm hyped up on pain pill. I never take pain medication, and it's the first time I've taken it in probably like 30 years.
So we won't be getting together next week because you'll be on your way to Celebration.
No, next week. So next week we're not Celebration. 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks. That's right. 2 weeks.
And
okay.
and I'm supposed to lay over in like Minnesota or something like that. So I should look at. We'll do like a whatever ticket I bought. Then I'll shut up. whatever ticket I bought, right? It was supposed to be. I left Philadelphia at like 7 and got there. I don't know, however long. Then I got an update from Travelocity. Sorry, your ticket has been changed to a layover. So now I'm going to get to LA time at like 12:48 in the evening because it's like Minnesota or some state I'm laying over in. I don't.
Have you ever been there before?
What, LA?
No, Minnesota.
No.
See,
No.
you're supposed to go to Minnesota, my friend.
I
You're
don't
gonna
know.
go. You're gonna go to Minnesota, get some cheese, and
Huh. I just want to make sure I'm there. I don't
or
really.
no, that's Wisconsin. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have driven through when I went to California, but I'm just like really like a layover. Like, I don't know. Air travel just annoys. It's so expensive, and it just seems so like they're like, okay, thanks for your money. We'll make sure you're there at some point in time. So,
Well, before we wrap it up, I do have one quick question, just real fast. So it is work in progress Wednesday. What are we working on this week, costume-wise? Or prop-wise?
Chest armor. I'm working on my chest armor for my custom post-Imperial Mandalorian.
yeah, I'm printing IG-11, and Vader. Vader is my new, and the sand person, the Tuscan build. We're going to have a bunch of college students that are coming to build Mandalorians that same day from Zoe's group.
Oh,
Interesting.
boy.
Which era of Mandalorians?
Well, I'm going to just print them helmets, so it's probably going to be when I find out the male to female ratio, it will probably be
Night Owl and
night owls and
Dins.
Dins. Probably, I'll just probably print if 6 are showing up. As soon as I find out, I'll just start printing them. It'll be like 5 or 6 of them.
Look at Alter Ego Armory. If you're looking for some fancy Mando helmets, Alter Ego Armory has some phenomenal helmets.
I'm debating because I have a file from this is my dilemma on what we're working on today. I have a file from Three Demons that is I can copy, so I haven't decided if I want to print one, clean it up, cast it real quick, and then make 6 instead of printing. Because if I print 6, it's going to tie my printer up for 2 weeks, and I don't know if I want to do that. So, but yeah, I'll look. It'd probably be like a generic. I have a generic. I have the Night Owl, and I think I have a generic like a Sabine helmet too. I just got to look and see. And I do have Sabine's mom's helmet too with the wings on it.
Ursa.
So. Anyway, what are you working on, John?
I'm working on redoing my Din armor.
Nice.
So
That looks good.
I've got the Season 2 thigh, the one he stole from Zero.
Mm-hmm.
I'm printing the shin armor because I'm finally caving, and I'm going to put some plastic over my leg. I've got the whole chest piece is done, so the torso and the ab plate, which look so much better than the one that I've got now. And then I still have to do I'm reprinting my left thigh, so that'll probably be next after I'm done with the shin. That's a 1.5 day print, and I'm not thrilled about it. But yeah, and then I've got to decide on whether or not I'm just gonna redo all the hard armor parts and redo the shoulders too.
Did you say you had that other set of shoulders or no?
I don't have the Imperial set or
Okay.
post Imperial set.
I might have those too. I might be able to print those for you, Ken. I'll stick them on the print list.
Okay.
I recommend, John, if you get a chance, think about trying that liquid resin with UV light.
Yeah, I tried it. I've tried it before. It's not my favorite method, honestly.
Well, what UV light are you using? Like what power though? You need a 400 or better. 405.
Yeah, see, mine's a 310.
No, you need a 405 because the 310 it won't permanently make it definitely hard. The 405 will turn it hard in like 30 seconds.
All right, I'll have to hop on the Amazons and pick one up.
I bought one and put it on. I mounted it on a bracket and it just and you just put it on thin. If it's not your method, it's not your method. I had good luck with it when I did the Boba Fett chest plate. Like it came out like glass.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I gotta figure out my painting method for the armor, because that's the other problem is if I don't reprint the shoulders, I'm still gonna have to sand them down and repaint them because the silver is too light.
Are you going to do the graphite powder?
I'm thinking about doing graphite powder, or if I haven't decided if I want to pony up and pay the exorbitant amount of money for the Alicad chrome.
Yeah, there's an off-brand that Tim O'Sullivan
Spastics.
uses. Huh?
There's one called Spastics.
Yeah.
It's smaller rattle cans, but
Mm-hmm.
you still need to have a really nice gloss black undercoat for that to work properly.
Yeah, I see. My biggest problem with that is I don't want to use the 2K gloss clear coat. I don't like automotive clear coat, just because you have to. It's a 2-part hardener that you have to. I mean, I don't work very fast to begin with, and giving me a 48-hour window to finish all of my pieces with one can is not exactly favorable for me.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up this silver.
It definitely requires a different kind of planning, that's for sure.
Right. It's I almost have to set aside an entire day to paint
and to have all your pieces together, have all your pieces prepared at the same place at the same time, if that makes any sense. So all your sanding has to be done, all your black, gloss black undercoat has to be done.
Right.
Instead of being able to do one piece and then work on something else and then do another piece and work. Nope. Get it all done at one time.
Yeah, because even if you get a humidity difference, it'll change. It'll change the difference. I'm trying to think. What. Real quick, I have it out in my garage. I just bought some silver. But yeah, I don't know how. I thought I had it.
Yeah, the graphite powder might be the way to go though, because that seems to be the most cost effective to get the right finish.
Yeah.
But the only issue I've heard with using the graphite powder is if you don't have a thick enough clear coat on top, you're gonna rub it off almost instantly.
Yeah, but they say that with my sand trooper. They said, oh, if you use that powder method, it's going to wear off because it's sealed with hairspray, and it hasn't rubbed off. And I don't like treat it nice or anything like that.
Did you use Aquanet?
Yeah, I used.
You did.
Yeah, I had a big can of Aquanet. I just bought the cheapest hairspray they had, and they had this big, giant purple and white Aquanet.
There are women today that are wearing Aquanet with the hair that they did in the 80s, and it's still standing up.
So. I like with Zoe's armor, what messed her armor up, you can't really tell here. She used to carry her helmet.
Oh, so it was rubbing?
It just rubbed it off. So it's and the nice thing about it, if you do with graphite and it does wear off, you can redo it relatively easily.
Yeah.
You've worn your armor enough that you'll know your wear points.
Where did you get your soft parts from, John?
AliExpress, actually.
Cosplay Sky is another good one.
Yeah,
AliExpress is probably a lot cheaper.
Can you get them in different colors? Or is it just the DIN colors?
I believe it's just the DIN colors. So the brown, the navy.
I think they made the Bo-Katan in male or female in that slightly different color. At Cosplay Sky. Cosplay Sky is what the guy who's now the CEO of 501st. He uses for his Dinjarin. Because I was talking to him, and I have a suit. I have a whole soft parts for Dinjarin that fit me at the beginning of the pandemic, and now it looks like Dinjarin's getting ready to give birth. It doesn't fit me now.
You're hunting for two?
Yeah. So it sits there and just shames me every time I see it. Like if I could just
Dinner to Jaren.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm Boba Fett and Dinner to Jaren. So
Jesus. Well, on that note,
Din DiGiorno, the pizza guy.
All right, well,
it's not delivery; it's Jaren.
I think I'm gonna have Zoe work on questions for us for next week, and we'll do another trivia night.
Okay.
So maybe we'll try to get 1 or 2 people on to do our trivia night. We'll do the
Yeah,
same.
we can ask Chuck. Chuck seems to be a fun one to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to
And
get
maybe
her on
after
the
you
show, though.
hang out with Anthony, maybe you convince him to come back on.
Yeah.
You got to get Zoe on to administer the questions, though.
I want it. Well, she's upstairs. I just texted her when she come down, but she's, they never listen to me.
Teenagers
Kids these days.
Kids. Well, she's not even. She's 20.
Yeah.
She's going to be able to celebrate her 21st birthday at the Scum and Villainy.
Oh, fun.
She's living not too terribly far from me. So.
Yeah. At least she'll be able to celebrate her 21st birthday. Mine was at the height of COVID, so.
Well, at Scum and Villainy, she won't be able to celebrate too much because it's super expensive.
Right.
So I got the bar tab that time we went there, and I didn't even drink, and it was a car payment. So.
Yikes.
All right.
All right, gentlemen.
We are all out. Inflatable Falcon, and we will see you, whoever's on here still.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Fordo.
That's not bad. It's not even 12 o'clock yet. Is my clock right? Yeah. All right.
It's 11:11. Make a wish.
All right. Later, all.
Bye.
See you guys.